morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Good morning to life. Music, talk, inspiration, in perspective.
Express yourself.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Citi FM, your station.
It's a refreshing lifestyle.
Citi FM 97.3.
for you if the space in which you work does not work. Let me take that again. Your hard work will not work for you if the space you work in does not work. Now, what do I mean by this? I hear people say often, focus on your hustle, forget about Ghana. Oh, Ghana, Ifite, Ghana, Agblan, just hustle. Now, think about this instruction. It says, work for the peace and prosperity of the city where I sent you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, for its welfare will determine your welfare. Your welfare is not mutually exclusive from the welfare of the city you live in. It's not exclusive from the country you live in. Nation building is hard work. Let's champion a new shift, a new paradigm. Teach yourself to say Alavanyo, not Ghana, Agbala, Wonsum, not Pesemin Kuminya. And don't make these empty rhetoric. It is hard work, remember? So work for the welfare of this country. Shift from Yenchendi, Abayejuma, and Yobiadie. Shift to Umuganda, which means give me a helping hand. No, some people only give helping hand when the call is to loot. When we are looting, stealing, and tearing down, that's when they offer helping hands. Bring your helping hand. Let's build. Let's innovate. Let's create. You have a responsibility in the Ghana enterprise. Your hand matters in this enterprise. What is your hand contributing to build? Are you contributing to the building of the nation, or you are contributing to its destruction? Don't be among those who destroy. Don't litter. Pick up the litter. Don't choke the drains. Help unclog them. Don't be silent either. Celebrate the good about us. Promote Ghana. Fly Ghana. And don't be silent. Highlight the ills too. For that is the only time that we truly will be a bright country and rise to the place we deserve. Remember, it is only when the Ghana enterprise wins that we all win. Business Sense is brought to you by ADB. ADB is joining us to build a better Ghana, a great Ghana, of course. And so they say if you're a paid employee or salaried worker, you need a loan. They want to give you Umuganda, financial Umuganda. ADB is offering you a variety of personal loans, including top-up loans at significantly reduced interest rates. You will also enjoy a longer tenure of up to 6 years. This offer is open to non-customers as well. Kindly visit the nearest branch or call 0302-210-210 or 0302-224-043. For further inquiries, ADB is the People's Bank. ADB is truly a great and more.
We understand the excitement of preparations that comes when your child gains admission into senior high school. But we at the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB PLC, also understand the financial burden this comes with. The chop box, trunk, school mattress, you name it. That's why we have partnered with Prospectus Ghana Limited to offer financial support for parents by introducing the ADB Quick Purchase. With a smart loan of up to 20,000 Ghana cedis, you can pick up all the items on your child's prospectus for school. ADB PLC offers you a repayment plan of 12 months to relieve you of all that heavy financial burden. Every ADB customer who receives their salaries through the bank, military and police personnel, and all other workers on the Controller and Accountant General's payroll qualify for this facility. Walk into any ADB branch nationwide or any Prospectus Ghana Limited office near you to apply for the ADB Quick Purchase. Terms and conditions apply. ADB, the People's Bank. ADB, truly a Greek and more.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Newspaper review up next. The men are in the studio. Richard the Last Guy, Nathan Obodai Crowd. Dancing to Oh Baby. Newspaper review is brought to you by Total Excelium Fidelity Bank. of Total Energies. Have you heard about that incredible benefits of Excellium from Total Energies? Let me tell you more about the premium fuel with its amazing 3-in-1 power. Total Energies introduces Excellium new formula, the addictive and rich fuel with its powerful 3-in-1 action that cleans your engine, extends its life and lowers your fuel consumption thanks to the cumulative effect of its anti-corrosion, anti-wear and detergent additives. Excellium new formula also lowers your vehicle's fuel consumption while reducing CO2 emissions. You will drive your car will just sing, oh baby. Experience the difference with Total Energies Excellium new formula. Choose Excellium, choose quality. Now listen, Pan-African Payment and Settlement Systems PAPS is now live at Fidelity Bank. Imagine sending money to your loved ones or business partners across Africa instantly and in Ghana cities. Don't wait for days for transactions to clear. No more expensive fees, just fast, secure and affordable payments. PAPS is here and Fidelity Bank makes sending money through PAPS easy. Visit any of our branches and start sending money across Africa instantly, securely and affordably to Nigeria, Gambia, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone. Fidelity Bank, believe with us. Let's get into the newspapers now, and Richard Delaska is here.
Yep.
Nathan Kwame is here.
Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, my man. How's it going?
Oh, good to see you, man.
Yes,
it's a Friday morning.
Yes, it's a day of so many events. The Conservatives were wiped out in the UK. In the US, they celebrated their independence anniversary. And here in Ghana, Matthew Opoku Prempeh is named the running mate of the MPP.
It's a big day
indeed. Yes. So the newspapers are plenty.
Heavy.
For some reason on Friday they come in their numbers. So this morning the New Finder says Dr. Prempeh pledges service and the leadership rallies all MPP members to come on board. Congratulations to him. Also on the front page this morning, Ghana Purchasing Managers Index dips, but business confidence strong. Katie Hammond's photograph is here as the Minister for Trade. NDC opposed to appointments to superior courts. The police say they are ready for December polls, and that's coming in from the IGP, Dr. Tampare. And then some of the stories on the front page of the newspaper.
The Daily Graphic says Baumia Opoku Prempeh ticket sealed. That's that, and there are pictures of Dr. Baumia and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh here. Other stories: negligence suit rocks Central Aplao Hospital. NPP NDC in close contest for Winchi seat, and that's in the constituency watch of the Daily Graphic. And GES introduces self-posting module for colleges of education. And the IA is saying amend Bank of Ghana Act.
The Chronicle says this morning, I'll help Baumia break the 8, Napo declares after official confirmation. The NDC is accusing President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Chief Justice of parking the Supreme Court. And the Ministry of Finance and the University of Ghana are discussing how to address challenges facing Ghana's economy.
The Daily Guide also has a take on Dr. Opoku Prempeh's nomination, and it says MPP OK's Napo for running mate. In other stories, CJ bounces Martin Amidu over SP. Tap and go taxis come alive in August. That's according to the Vice President. And government secures $100 million for cocoa farms rehabilitation.
The Inquisitor says this morning, IGP Konkonsa Cape probe deficit of evidence in committee's work. Yesterday, the Speaker directed them to go back after disagreements on the floor. Also, on the front page this morning, ownership of Veeb's Ramadan rice established. And the story about Martin Amidu's petition being thrown out.
Okay. The Daily Analyst also has a lot of the stories we've done already. They've looked at Martin Amidu, Napo, and so those are the common stories, or the stories that are running through. The unique ones, NDC is telling the president, your naked abuse of power is a danger to democracy. And the ADB MD, Alhaji Hassan Yakubu Tali, is saying economic rebound will spare financial sector growth.
Okay, let me take you to the Informer. The big story says public discontent. Afenyo Marking cautions politicians. On the same front page, proposed salary increment for MPs and cabinet members. Public anger halts idea. Some of the stories, including this one that says proposed free senior high school bill We were not consulted, according to Nagrat.
The Catholic Standard is here. Their biggest story says Ghana Catholic bishops hold farewell mass for nuncio. So it looks like the nuncio is leaving. Yes. But there's a new one coming. Monsignor Julien Kabori.
I love Monsignor.
Monsignor Julien Kabori of Burkina Faso. He's been appointed the apostolic nuncio.
Monsignor.
So in diplomatic terms, for those who know, the nuncio is like the ambassador.
Okay. Oh, this is ambassador.
Yes, like he has that status.
Plenty
right?
potential.
So another story is Francis Poku calls for democratic reforms amid trust decline, and Bishop Agenta tells EC be fair and transparent, plus address issues of sexual exploitation by priests. That's according to the Pax Romana.
Okay, let me take you to the Custodian. 2024 battle lines drawn. It's Baumia Napo versus Mahama and Jane. Gabi Asarochidako is on the front page, and he's quoted as saying, using mobile money to buy and sell across Africa, a fast track to economic integration. And Zoom Lion is said to be donating modern equipment to Homowo for the Homowo cleanup initiative.
Okay, finally for me, the BNFT CEO's hold key, to sustainable business growth. That's according to Dr. Ken Kwaku. IEA calls for comprehensive reforms to strengthen BOG's mandate and independence. And Ghana EU trade dips. And there's a picture of Honorable Katie Hammond here with an official of the EU. An economic rebound will spur financial growth. That's according to the ADB MD.
If you go to the Republic Press, CJ shreds Amidou's petition as request to remove OSP meets dead end, and some other stories, including the NDC losing cool again, and they are not happy with the Supreme Court proposals for further appointments onto the Supreme Court. If you go to the Ghanaian Observer, they say it's Napo as MPP National Council unanimously endorses Energy Minister as Baumia's vice presidential candidate. Also on the front page, using mobile money to buy and sell across Africa, a fast track to economic integration. Again, Asari Gabi Ochridako there on the front page. Elsewhere, Chebihini, we are told, is endorsing CRM. And if you go finally to the ABC newspaper, the big story says that MPP National Council okays Baumia Napo ticket as Bafoewa laces boot to replace Mensha South NP. I don't know why we keep writing lawyer. Bafo, lawyer is not a title, it's profession. That's like saying journalist, what's your name? Nathan Kwa. Stop writing. Sorry. And you know, when they are also doing their posters, they write it as if, saying you are lawyers, you add something to.
Let me take you online, Roger Sky.
The chances of getting elected.
Ghanaians leaving for opportunities abroad, not the satisfaction with government. This is Dr. Gideon Boako speaking. Doctor, we can say, right? And then minority to stage another hashtag Occupy BOG protest on July 30. Election 2024, Baumia Napo ticket a win for NPP. This is Akufo-Addo speaking. IGP leak tape. Go back and complete your work. Backbin tells committee. Evaluate Napo Opoku Ajiman on their track records. Gideon Boako tells Ghanaians. And election 2024, Napo vows to help Baumia break the 8. And if you go to myjoyonline.com, you have cement shortage imminent as legislative price control could slash production. Dr. Dawson Amo is speaking. Baumia Opoku Prempeh tickets excellent for MPP. This is Akufo-Addo. Plots to oust IGP. Go back and complete your work. Speaker direct special committee. UK Labour Party sweeps to power in historic election, but impatient voters mean big challenges. And then Professor Japong awarded a fellowship in the UK Faculty of Public Health. Nice, congratulations. Biden says he screwed up debate, but vows to stay in election. We go to the BBC. BBC, Biden faces donor pressure as he digs in on re-election bid. All Africa, Kenya halts cabinet pay hikes amid public outcry. And French elections, violent attacks shock France ahead of crunch vote. These are some of the stories making the headlines. If you go to CNN, Liz Truss loses her seat, an epic collapse for the short-lived former Prime Minister, and Labour wins UK election as Sunak concedes defeat. That's a flavor of the international and online portals.
Well, one thing I should have
into the
done.
papers, yes,
Just a
Herald.
second before we get into that. The Herald's front page, even though we don't have a physical copy, but we have an image of the front page.
Yep.
It says ex-law school director kicks against 20 judges at Supreme Court. And Ansasar is saying, for me, this is illegitimate and an abuse of power. Other stories, Yokobo's dishonest public office of accountability confirms calling Adam Bonner's wife. And Ghana Gas plunged into boardroom wrangling over $900 million deal. Okay, let's get into the papers. And I think a lot of the papers have
The Napo story.
Yes, the Napo story. So the Daily Graphic, for instance, they say Baumia Opoku Prempeh ticket sealed, and the story is on the front page and on page 2. And on page 2, there's a picture of Justin Frimpong Kodia, who's the general secretary of the party, and the story highlights different things. They say it's a milestone. They also talk about the atmosphere. The paper talks about the atmosphere at the MPP's HQ. Then they write, there's a profile. Who is Napo? It goes on to detail who Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is. The same story is on the Daily Guide, the Daily Analyst. The Catholic Standard doesn't have it. And of course, the BNFT also does not have that party.
Okay, so the story is that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has been named the running mate of Dr. Baumia for the 2024 elections. He's currently the Member of Parliament for the Mensah South constituency in the Ashanti region, and then also the Minister responsible for Energy. So formerly, he served as Minister responsible for Education. And since the announcement was made yesterday, he's been talking through a press statement he issued right here in Accra. And the details of that in the New Finder newspaper. We're told it's on page 2. Where's the story? I can't find it. Where is it? Oh, Charlie, New Finder.
Sometimes they get
this thing wrong. So,
anyway, but if you go to you go to the Daily Graphic, for example,
we need to hear from him. He
yes.
something.
So the Daily Graphic said that Dr. Prempeh said he was deeply honored to be chosen as the running mate of the flag bearer. The Mensah South lawmaker and energy minister said he was privileged he was privileged and duty bound to extend his full support to the flag bearer.
Oh yes, that's right. So it's actually on page 2, except that it got trapped with some other page. So yes, so he's been talking, and some of the things he said is promising service and leadership. And we wish him and the NPP all the very best.
Well, finally, on that, just a last bit on Napo. He, on the front page of the Daily Analyst, he says that the nomination, he sees the nomination as being part of God's plan for his life. And quote, I am grateful for his guidance and in directing my path. I consider this nomination as a call to higher service, a call to sacrifice, and a duty to perform.
Meanwhile, Dr. Gideon Boako is telling Ghanaians to evaluate Napo and Opoku Agyeman on their track records. Story on citinewsroom.com. Dr. Gideon Boako, spokesperson for Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, has urged Ghanaians to evaluate the vice presidential candidates of the two major political parties based on their track records. He emphasized the importance of informed voting, encouraging citizens to consider the past achievements and performances of the candidates.
Okay, let's stay in politics, because a couple of days ago we heard that the Chief Justice of the Republic has been making a case for an increment on the number of justices at the Supreme Court. Now, the NDC is not happy about the situation. They've issued invitations to journalists, and they went there yesterday for a press conference, and the story is detailed here on page 2 of the Chronicle, and it says it's by Jennifer Ambul, and it says that the National Democratic Congress has accused President Akufo-Addo and Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokonu of colluding to stack the Supreme Court with judges sympathetic to the governing New Patriotic Party NPP. Now, addressing news conference in Accra yesterday, Mr. Fifi Fiavi Kwete, the General Secretary of the party, said the action compromises the court's independence and impartiality. There's a direct quote here that says, "It will shock you to know that President Akufo-Addo, who has already packed the Supreme Court with an unprecedented 15 appointments, is now conspiring with Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokonu to add 5 more judges to the highest court. This isn't just a political maneuver of an already existing exiting failed president. It is an assault on our democracy, a betrayal of public trust, and a direct threat to the integrity of our judicial system.
Let me switch to the cement conversation quickly. Cement shortage imminent as legislative price control could slash production. This is the CEO of the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers. He's warning that the proposed legislative instrument LI to control cement prices, if approved, will lead to reduced production. Dr. George Dawson Amoa said if you force a producer to sell at that price and it's not profitable, there is market distortion. He or she would not produce, and if they don't produce, then there will be a shortage. Is Ghana ready for a cement shortage? That's the question he leaves us with. Big question there. Meanwhile, we won't withdraw LI on cement price reporting upon your marking to Bagbin on starfm.com. Majority Leader Alexander Kwame Apanyo Marking has declared the controversial Ghana Standards Authority pricing of Cement Regulation 2024 will not be withdrawn. The Speaker advised Minister KT Hammond to withdraw the LI in order to address some concerns, but he addresses the media in Parliament and says that all concerns of the minority and sector players largely bordering on the price regulation have been addressed.
Okay, let's stay with the area of trade. Page 9 of the New Finder has a story. Ghana Purchasing Managers Index dips, but business confidence remains strong. Worsening business conditions have caused Ghana to drop in the latest World Purchasing Managers Index, PMI. Now, the index signaled a marginal monthly deterioration in business conditions, ending a 4-month sequence of improvement. Now, PMI are economic indicators derived from monthly surveys of private sector companies. Now, it goes on to provide further details. Somewhere also on that particular page, MTN executives advocate for partnerships to create a robust SME ecosystem.
Right.
Now let's take you to one more story before you go. So if you go to some of the other newspapers, Asari Gabi Ochridako, the head of what do you call it? The Africa Prosperity Dialogue. So he's been talking about how to use mobile money to integrate, the African continent generally, and also deepen trade across borders. Now, he's written a brilliant piece you can find on page 4 of the Custodian newspaper. Some other newspapers have it. If you're interested in that, get a copy of the Custodian newspaper and read details. Now, otherwise, you go online. Now,
Labour has won UK's election as Sunak concedes defeat. This is CNN. Labour has won the UK general elections with a landslide, with results from almost all the parliamentary seats declared. We are told that Keir Starmer will be the next Prime Minister. He's been telling supporters at a victory rally that change begins now. Meanwhile, President Biden is facing pressure from some major Democratic donors as he faces a critical few days in his campaign for re-election. A number of donors are publicly warning they will withhold funds unless Mr. Biden is replaced as the party's candidate following his disastrous debate performance last week. If you go to Kenya, the proposed pay rises for members of Kenya's cabinet and parliament have been halted after President William Ruto ordered a review of the plans following public outcry. And in France, finally, a growing number of candidates and activists in France have been targeted with violent or verbal attacks in the run-up to Sunday's tense final round of parliamentary elections. A lot of elections happening, protests in between, and agitations here and there. Interesting times, really.
Yeah, let's come back home. If you go to the Republic Press, let me draw your attention quickly. You know, Martin Amidu has... we are told, of course, there's some debate as to whether he actually sent that petition to the president. The petition was to have the special prosecutor investigated and possibly removed from office over a number of allegations. Well, it went before the Chief Justice, who looked at it, and according to reports this morning, and the Republic Press has a copy of his version of the story, I should say. And Kwesi Tinkran says the Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu has dismissed a petition filed by former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu seeking the removal of current Special Prosecutor Kesi Ajabing from office. Now, the details, you can get a copy of the Republic Press and read. Well, what it means is that that's the end of that particular matter.
Okay.
And then also, let me mention quickly that yesterday the Parliament of Ghana took the report, which has been sitting on ice for some time now, on the IGB Conconsante. And, it was embarrassing to see the two sides fight each other on the floor over some issues. And eventually, the speaker had to make an order that, look, you guys have not finished the work. Go back and finish the work. I don't think this is what we want to see in our MPs. Completely embarrassing, completely unacceptable, and the people involved should have to up their game.
Great. So that's it for the newspaper review. Thank you, Sky. Thank you, Nathan. There is more coming up on your favorite morning show.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Ugomi, and what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I don't change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. One pair way now open there. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why you hand my gobe inside? I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Wake up in the morning, and you know the money calling. Oh, you go work, but you know it's side to your side. If I believe with us, if I hold my hand and believe, cause you know it's side to your side. And when you dream, no, say I live on you. And when you hustle every day, anywhere I go, everything you do. Believe with us, fidelity. Oh, if I know I need your side, fidelity.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Business news coming your way quickly, brought to you by MTN, Goel, and Access Bank. MTN says if you are making a call or you are browsing and you've run out of airtime or data, just dial *506# and you get to borrow credit and on MTN extra time, borrow data as well with the same number *506#. Your conversations don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. Good energy has hit the road with exciting choices to energize your vehicle. Is giving you more options to take you further. Watch this space for your choice. Goel, Yenara, dear. Now Access Bank has brought banking closer to you with our agency banking service called Access Closer. Look out for an Access Closer agent in that neighborhood store, mobile money wallet, mobile money outlet, supermarket, barbering shop, or pharmacy near you. Go on and deposit or withdraw cash, pay bills, buy insurance, transfer cash to other banks, link account to mobile money wallet, and much more with Access Closer right in your neighborhood. That's not all. You can also be the bank in your neighborhood. Become an Access Closer agent and earn over 10,000 cedis monthly. What are you waiting for? Call 0302 742 696 to register as an agent today. We are closer than you think. Access Bank, more than banking. And Neil Latte joins us with the business news. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, my friend Caleb. Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goel, and Access Bank. My name is Neil Latte. Let's begin with the cost of transportation. And you could be paying extra for the vehicle you bought in the coming days because some drivers in the capital city are pushing for an increase in transport fares following the recent surge in fuel prices. They are urging leadership of the various transport unions to engage government for a possible price adjustment. More in this report.
Recent fuel price hikes in the first pricing window of July saw a litre of petrol being sold at 14 cedis 80 pesos, while a litre of diesel cost consumers 14 cedis 92 pesos at some leading oil marketing companies, including Shell and Guel. Drivers are already feeling the impact, leading to growing agitation. They are pressing the leadership of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and other similar groups to announce an increase in transport fares. Kwabena Kakraba, a taxi driver at Adabraka Cooperative Society station, is one of such drivers.
If they increase at least 20 or 15%, will be okay. Or let's say quarter 10%. At least will make the difference.
Although the situation is not universal across all stations visited by Citi Business News, some taxi drivers at Tesano have already begun to review their fares. Taxi drivers who previously charged 10 cedis for short distances are now insisting on 15 cedis.
Normal, not short distance.
Short distance used to be 10 cedis, but because of the fuel price hikes, it is now 15 cedis. If we do not increase it, we cannot make ends meet.
Commuters are calling for issues regarding fuel price increases to be addressed to prevent further challenges.
We are not ready, but what can we do? We can't do anything. We only complain and talk. So what we are asking is that anytime there is a fuel increase, is to think about the citizens in the country.
Citi Business News understands that the concerned drivers union will begin addressing the matters of fuel price hikes and their impact on transport fares from July 8th.
Citi Business News' Daniel Sakite came through with that report. Now, Ghana has missed out of the hosting rights for the headquarters of the $5 billion Africa Energy Bank. Ghana lost the bid to Nigeria after coming in second out of the 6 countries which participated in the bidding process. The decision was taken after a rigorous infrastructure assessment by the African Petroleum Producers Organization and Afri-Exim Bank. Ghana wanted to leverage its position as host of the Secretariat of AFTA to get the nod and head the Energy Bank, which is expected to address the imminent funding challenge in Africa's oil and gas industry. Moving on, the Ghana Statistical Service is advocating for a robust national statistical system which operates independently of political interference. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobena Enim explains that such independence is crucial for ensuring the credibility of its publications of facts and figures, which are integral to shaping national development. He highlighted examples of the United Kingdom and the United States of America, where bold steps have been taken to ensure that their statistical agencies remain autonomous.
We really need to get to the point where we define our independence based on our authority of the national statistical system, where the government's statistical services, as we have in the UK, which is independent, can boldly say that if you misuse statistics, we're going to put it in the right way. But if your board is made up of government employees, if the government statistician is scared of political issues, then to a large extent, we are careful in our dispensation. So we really need to ensure that that blurry relationship between the National Statistical System, its functions, its role, and the National Statistical Office is clear.
Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobena Enim speaking there at the launch of the Amaris Institute of Statistical and Economic Research aimed at harmonizing statistics in Anglophone West Africa. And finally, Ghana's export to the European market for 2023 went up by 8%, rising from 2.4 billion euros in 2022 to 2.6 billion euros last year. But what specific export commodities are driving this increase in export, and how much more revenue is it generating for the government?
The trade flows between Ghana and the European Union are characterized by Ghana exporting primarily raw and semi-processed goods, while importing machinery, vehicles, and chemicals. Ghana mainly exports cocoa beans, cocoa butter, cocoa paste, and cocoa powder. Other significant exports include gold, crude petroleum, and fruit, mainly bananas and pineapples. The trade balance is typically in favor of the EU, with Ghana importing more than it exports from the EU. In 2023, 41% of EU exports from Ghana consisted of cocoa and cocoa preparations amounting to 1.1 billion euros. Crude petroleum oils and oils obtained from bituminous minerals were the second most imported product by the EU from Ghana in 2023, accounting for 36% of total EU imports. Prepared and preserved tunas and skipjack, crude fixed vegetable fat and oils, and wrought aluminium and fresh or dried bananas were the other main products imported by the EU, each comprising around 2 to 3 of total EU import.
Well, on the forex market today, the dollar is selling at 15 cedis 80 pesos. The British pound could be sold to you at 19 cedis 80 pesos. That of the euro going for 16 cedis 60 pesos. And that's it for the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goil and Access Bank. Join us at 1 p.m. for the afternoon's edition of Citi Business News, and later at 8:50 p.m. on Channel 1 TV for sharing our business. But for now, you can visit our website, citinewsroom.com/business for more on our top stories. My name is Ni Latte. Next is the Citi Business Edition. Do have a good business day.
Beautiful people, we are live in town, soaking in the excitement about the partnership between Access Bank and PABS, revolutionizing the way people move money across Africa. Let's hear directly from those reaping the benefits.
It's a relief. Anytime I send money back home, my family receives exactly what I send them, instantly.
I'm studying in Ghana, but originally from Nigeria. With this service, my parents send my school and hostel fees directly, and they do it with so much ease.
I run a fashion business. Let me tell you, sending and receiving money across Africa without those annoying forex fees has really cut down our operational costs.
Benefit from instant payments across Africa with zero foreign exchange hassle. Visit our website www.ghana.accessbankplc.com or call our toll free on 0800 00 4400 for all your cross-border payments.
Pass it with Access Bank.
Access Bank, more than banking.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
I do it naturally.
We'll bring you that in the next 30 minutes. It's a fantastic conversation reflecting on Africa's fintech space.
They want to fight, they want to get.
Presentation by Solace Kidesil. She's Chief Operating Officer of Insano Limited. Stay for this one. Now, if you need to spec that old car or a homemaker,
I'm moving on a mission.
Want to spec that car or give your home a makeover or relax, get a beach getaway, use the ABSA card 10 times for more in a month and you could be a lucky winner in the ABSA Change Your Story promotion and extra entries by using digital channels 5 times or more. From now until end of October, 5 lucky winners will take away 40,000 Ghana cedis each every month to change their story. So for more information, visit an ABSA branch today. This promotion is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. Now you're about to have the world at your fingertips because the wait is finally over. Telecel is here. You have everything you want and need: quick and reliable communication, stress-free money transactions via Telecel Cash, transforming your big business ideas into success stories. Connect with Telecel and enjoy a world of endless possibilities because with Telecel there's no limit to connections. Telecel, connecting energies. So see, join the Global Wings Travel and Tours this September for a journey of a lifetime. We're taking you to Malaysia and Singapore for all of their breathtaking attractions from September 9th to the 18th this year. You get to experience the thrill of Kuala Lumpur and then also Singapore. It's an unforgettable trip to Sentosa Island and a full city tour where you will marvel at the gardens by the bay. For the luxurious 4-star accommodation, visa facilitations, return tickets, travel insurance, all taxes, airport transfers, everything is included in this getaway. Don't miss this opportunity. Join Global Wings Travel and Tour. Call or WhatsApp them now on 0553 688 398 or 0550 188 181. Follow them on socials at Global Wings Travel GH. Pack your bags and let Global Wings whisk you for a trip of a lifetime. So now, let's get into this fantastic conversation on shaping the future of digital financial services in Africa. This is a presentation by Solace Kidesil, Chief Operating Officer, Insano Limited. Insano is a digital payment service provider connecting multiple African markets and businesses, and Solace herself has over a decade of experience and understanding of Africa's payment trends and markets. So this is a 30-minute journey. Enjoy this conversation on Africa's fintech space.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest
We have been working to bridge payments across Africa. And so my presentation would be more on Africa-wide, not particularly Ghana. So let's talk about Africa, and let's talk about what digital businesses are doing in Africa. So typically, over the last decade, there have been a lot of hype words in tech. Today, we are dealing with AI, the metaverse, we are dealing with 5G, we are dealing with a few other things like blockchain. Before we had cloud, we had big data, we even had a brief stint with Hadoop, 3D printing. Almost every time there's something new coming up. And each of these new tech hype words essentially represents an industry that serves as an opportunity for digital businesses to climb on, right? So most of our businesses have been built around one or two of these hype words. Now, my business is built on Fintech. 10 years ago, when I joined in Sano, at that time, Fintech wasn't a word. And then suddenly I started seeing articles calling us Fintech. I called my boss, I said, it looks like our industry has a name. It's called Fintech. Let's also bite into it, right? And one of the things that actually happens for every hype word or hype technology that comes up is that it goes through a certain cycle, right? It starts with a trigger saying that there's a new innovation, there's a new way to do something, there's a new technology that will revolutionize everything we are doing. Then it gets to all sorts of expectations. We are dreaming. Maybe we can even go to the moon with it. People want to build spaceships, but we still have to figure out how the technology will work. And then we come down to, okay, this is what it is. It is not all the things that we dreamt it was. Then I found that there's actually a cycle for this called the Gardner cycle. After we get through the realities of whatever the technology presents, then we will sort of even out into productivity and how it will look. And usually for the words that I mentioned earlier, if you don't manage to get to productivity, you fade out. So we get up as tech companies, we take a bet on a new hype word. We hope we can find a reasonable commercial business case or justification so that we can ease into productivity, make money, right, build our businesses. Else, if we bet on the wrong hype word, we will fade into something else or have to pick another word to adopt. So this has typically been the cycle for most of the digital businesses that I'm aware of. Now, what has happened generally? In the last 2 decades, we've had 2 separate industrial revolutions. This is global, right? So somewhere in the 1800s, mechanization started, the small pumps. We are looking at how electric power came in the next century and also changed how the industry actually looked like. So almost every century there was an iteration, right? By Industry 3.0, we were dealing with computers, we were dealing with the starting of the internet, we were dealing with a lot of new shiny things that were not necessarily linked to manufacturing, but were still linked to a new industry that could thrive, right? Now, Industry 4.0 and 5.0 did not wait for the century to end. In 20 years, we sort of went through these 2 iterations. And what it means for us as digital businesses is that the evolution now is faster than it was before. You practically just start understanding a new technology and tomorrow there's a new one out there and you're wondering, should I stop what I'm doing and chase this one or should I realize this, right? So there's a lot of pressure on us to sort of make the right bets, to put in the right investments. But the other side is that this is what the world is saying. But does this really reflect industry in Africa? Or does this reflect industry in Ghana? Have we really gone past 2.0? Do we have like very reliable electric power here? No. So a problem that the West was dealing with in the 1900s, you are practically dealing with it whilst all this rapid evolution is happening at the same time. Which is why the local context and the local challenges are important for digital businesses to situate ourselves. We do not have all the luxuries that very developed countries have because we ourselves are still going through the industry phases of trying to get to 3.0, even though we still have capability for 5.0. Now, what does this mean for us? In Africa, we have a very unique story. I like the fact that as I travel across Africa, and I do a lot, I'll say 90% of my travel is in Africa. It's always a new adventure. You know, you could be on a ferry in Freetown and then the ferry decides to go off, and then they're trying to pour fuel in it in the middle of a thunderstorm. You ask yourselves, why am I even in this country? But Africa presents a lot of opportunity. It's like the last frontier. And we are seeing it globally because almost everyone is zooming in on us. If we didn't have anything, I don't think they'll be coming, right? We have over 1 billion people on this continent. And what does that mean? It means consumers. So everyone is thinking about how can we wrap our hands around Africa. But we also have unique challenges. So in Industry 5.0, we are talking about data. We are talking about how do we automate systems? How do we automate interactions? But do we understand enough about ourselves to be able to automate it? I won't go too much into AI. I'll leave the experts, my brother, to take that up. But the question of what is available, what format it exists in, whether the data you have is even credible, right? And how relevant it is to the new industry that is forming are questions we have to answer. Aside from the services industry, banks, telcos, fintechs, small IT companies, we really don't have a digitized base of data. Government will probably be the biggest storehouse, but is it in the right format for us to consume? So whilst we are thinking about how can I use the newest tech industry, AI, in my operations, we have to ask questions about what is available to us and what can we do with it. We then have to look at the fact that we have a very large labor force on this continent. As AI is developing, other countries are excited about it because their population is running out. And AI probably presents the best opportunity for their countries to still run with fewer people, right? And the reverse is for Africa. So essentially, we all go running after the new fad. We may get where we are going, but we'll have a lot of people sitting at home that we have nothing for them to do. So that is a question that we tend to ask ourselves, not just as private participants, but even from a policy standpoint, how exactly are we going to balance the consumerism of Africa and our productivity? Now, there are underlying access challenges. I've already mentioned electricity. So, according to UNCTAD, across Africa, over 53% of our people don't have access to electricity. That's a very serious dynamic, right? And then you have the internet. So we are assuming that we are all on the information highway, but less than 50% of us are there. What it means is, as a digital business, there are systemic challenges that you can't solve by technology alone, right? And you should be aware of it so that you sort of understand what your market size is going to look like in whatever jurisdiction you decide to operate. Then we have ethical responsibility, policies that are made, regulators, a very unique position. Roland and I were talking about how in some countries there is no regulation for USSD, but there are also some countries you can't afford USSD because I think they don't understand. They missed the memo on what USSD was supposed to do for Africa. So you are going for a short code and they are charging you $4,000. I'm like, a month. What business am I going to run that will give me $4,000 a month? Right. So there are those existential challenges that we have, and it's not uniform across the continent, right? However, when we choose to focus on our local problems and find local versions of these tech new industries solutions, we actually make a dent. And I won't bore you with the numbers of how mobile money has grown across Africa, take Kenya, take Ghana, even now in Nigeria, because we see what it's doing and how it's transforming us. And this was taking very basic technology. When fintech was coined, believe me, they weren't thinking about USSD. There is this fintech influencer on Twitter that I got into a beef with 8 years ago because he came to put the top fintech countries across the world, and he only has South Africa. South Africa, okay. So I sent him a message. Please, I think you missed Kenya. Because M-Pesa was doing wonderful things at that time. He didn't even know where it was. He said, oh, as for Africa, there, South Africa, or the rest of Africa, they don't see what is going on. Thank God the narrative has changed now. Now, how do we sort of relate the kind of success we have chalked from the investment that telcos have made, the investment that banks have made, the investment that IT companies, fintechs have made to build this whole industry that started as a hype word that is very relevant in our local context, right? GSMA released this report, State of the Industry Report for 2023, where they are saying, GSMA is saying, I would love to believe it and see the numbers and calculations behind it, but they're saying that they have found proof that for African countries that have implemented mobile money, there was an additional $150 billion added to their GDP than what it would have been without mobile money. Now, if this metric is right, then it means that there can be a viable commercial business case if we choose to focus on what the local challenges mean for us, and then what the global opportunities that these new technologies are giving us are, and find a meeting point, right? So it's not enough to say there's this new ChatGPT, so I'm going to build ChatGPT for Tree. You have to ask yourself a lot of questions, right? Is it a problem you are solving? How many of us can write Tree? I had 2 in Tree, and my headmaster congratulated me because he expected a 4. So I obviously will not be a customer. But those are the kind of questions that as digital businesses, we have to go beyond our enthusiasm for the tech hype word to relate it to what our local context is. Now, I'm going to talk about one of our biggest problems and possible opportunities on this continent. For every other global superpower that is now in industry phase 5.0, one of the things they really got right by industry 3.0, 4.0 was how to trade. And not just trade within the country, but trade with others. Here we have the biggest trade area after, which officially launched in 2021. I don't know how many of you have been able to buy something from Abidjan. I don't know what you buy from Abidjan, but you know, you could buy ointments, like they have really nice creams. We'll talk about it later. $3.4 trillion, that is the anticipated market value. But as we speak now, regardless of what hype words you have, you can talk about metaverse. MTN has a metaverse area, right? I don't know who is there. You can talk about AI. You can talk about 5G and all the shenanigans. Who is tackling that? No one. It's an opportunity sitting down for us. There are questions, though. Don't get me wrong. We are not clear on policy. Last week, the richest black man said he needs 30 visas to travel across Africa. That is a very big indictment on AFTA, to be honest. That man is rich. I can't match his bank statement. If he needs 30 visas, I can't imagine what I'll need. But that shows you that there is a problem of how people move. If people can move, how are goods moving? How are services being exchanged? How can you, as a fintech, serve a company in Somalia? As of now, there's no framework for it. So definitely there are some few hurdles that are non-technical to be solved. But then, where regulation hasn't caught up, there's always opportunity to innovate, right? And the question we ask ourselves is, how can we even make payments? So my husband was ordering flowers for someone in Botswana, got a florist on Instagram. Now, how do I send her the money to deliver the flowers? So we went through all the iterations and we decided it had to be a bank transfer. So he had to go to the bank, write a statement, write that he's buying flowers, and then ask them to transfer the money. Now, thankfully, we seem to have a lot of trust across borders because the lady actually delivered the flowers before the money got there. She just wanted proof that you had gone to the bank and sent it, and then got the money after 4 days. But then it shows you that there is a huge gap that exists across our continent. And how do you even facilitate this trade? What platforms are allowing you to see what you can buy in Kenya? Because they have beautiful Maasai cloths that we don't have anywhere else on the continent. Or the fact that in Zambia, they love our shea butter and our chocolate. But we sit here and we are not aware that there's a whole market. In fact, there's this butter in Zambia that anyone who goes has to buy for me, because I've not tasted that butter anywhere in the world. It's made in Zambia. And I literally buy 4 or 5, stock up. It's the only thing in my house that you can't touch without permission. And it shows you that we do have some gems here and there. Aside from the general oil, gold, huge commodity trading, there is actually room to achieve this $3.4 trillion. So let's ask ourselves some questions. How do we bridge the gap? Really? And there's a huge gap. First of all, you are dealing with over 40 currencies. This is even with Francophone Africa or having the CFA and the ZOF. We have 40. And very few of them are tradable. So if you go beyond Abidjan, maybe Lagos, Freetown, no one wants to see this, right? You can have CFA in this trade block because of the Francophone countries, but if you go to Botswana and give them CFA, they will look at you like you're mad. So we have an issue of extra currencies, very few of them tradable. We have, okay, so apparently we have over 2,000 languages. 75 of them are spoken by over 1 million people. Even that is a lot. So let's say maybe colonization helped us more, so we can reduce it to 4 official languages if you take the English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. Even with those 4, it means that you can't essentially build for this over 1 billion people when you're only thinking Anglophone or you're only thinking Francophone. So there's that conversation that as tech, we need to understand that we should be able to translate. Every time I'm going to Abidjan, I spend a week on Duolingo, else I won't eat. Because how do you tell them you want breakfast? So you have to learn what eggs are, bread, and at least if you say Milo, they know what Milo is. But it tells you that there's a lot more we have to do as tech companies, not to sit within our silos and expect that it's enough to build for just Ghana and it will work everywhere else. And then we're also talking about access, right? So for the trade across Africa to work, it means we have to do a bit more on financial inclusion. So I know in Ghana, because of mobile money and everything, now we have very nice metrics. That's an industry we can pat ourselves on. Apparently, over 90% of adult Ghanaians have access to a financial service of one kind or the other. However, we have to ask deeper questions. What does that translate into? Can you get a loan for your business? Can you get a letter of credit to be able to receive items from Morocco as a small business or as an individual or sole proprietor? There are still nuances that are missing. And don't forget that this 90% is the stream that exists in Ghana and Kenya. If you go to South Sudan, it's a different metric. We are looking at under 10%. So there's still a lot of room to be done, work to be done. So we know that for us at Insano, 10 years ago, our boss put us in one room and told us this was our vision, to protect 50% of Africa's GDP. What I realized in that meeting was I'll never meet it, because the GDP will change every year. But that aside, it sets the conversation that we really would not be able to make a dent if we don't focus on the continent as a whole. And if we don't look at how we can build systems that people can trust, systems that are reliable and are effective. Now, in Sub-Saharan Africa, there are apparently 44 formal registered micro, small, and medium enterprises, 44 million. That was a staggering statistic for me. I mean, this is aside the Instagram companies, the side hustles, all those unregistered ones. And these are businesses that are not really being served. And the metric IFC is saying that 51% of them do not have access to financial tools. So for me as a fintech, this is a gaping hole in the conversation. These are opportunities. So our challenges actually serve as the opportunities for us. And how do we leverage these new technologies that we can access to make these challenges go away, hopefully. So there has been talk over the last 5 years of embedded finance and how fintechs can actually create new ways that finance is accessed. That is not the traditional way. Okay, some people don't like going to the bank. How many of us like to go to the bank? APSA is here. So when you give us other avenues to access the services in a way I'm comfortable with, I'm good, right? So one of the areas under embedded finance is trade finance, where we are looking at how can we enable these cross-border payments? How can we enhance fraud detection? How can we have access to trade tools that will make us be able to get our supplies and supply easily? And how do we mitigate risk with insurance, for instance, so that when your goods are traveling to Burkina and a soldier decides to impound it, you are not completely at a loss. Hopefully that won't happen. But all these things actually it happens. So it's relevant to businesses, and these are opportunities for us in this. So when I'm looking at my tech hype words, I'm looking at which of these problems is it solving for me, or which of these can I build a solution for that makes commercial sense, that gets us to productivity, and actually changes the metric on what is happening in Africa. So what next? We have to clarify our propositions. For a lot of us, I don't think there's any digital business that starts out and hits what they have planned. So even when we wrote our vision, at that time, we hadn't even got our first bank. So there were a lot of meandering. There were other things we did before we arrived where we were going, and we haven't even arrived. Let's say we are still on our journey. So for a lot of digital businesses, still trying to figure out how to position ourselves, how to leverage the new technologies that are available to us, we need to clarify what our proposition is. What can we offer? What challenge can we take on? And find ways to use technology and engaging the relevant stakeholders to find solutions to. We have to build models and frameworks. The fintech industry has changed a lot in 10 years. We do a lot of collaborations now. We talk to each other. We have associations. It wasn't like that in the beginning. We were all trying to figure out, like, we're in the sea, find your way, But now things have settled. What it means is that we should build models on top of this. We should build the next frameworks that make it possible for a company headquartered somewhere in Takoradi to be able to provide solutions that Zimbabweans will be using, Somalians will be using, and my lovely Gambia will be using. We also need enabling policies. But you see, when we decide to wait for the enabling policies, we won't get anything done. So whilst we are doing, we will also pray for them. We'll join them in handshakes, and then we'll hopefully put them along to get to the point where they get us able to do something. And then we execute. But a point of caution is that in all these hype words, in all these new technologies we are trying our hands on, cybersecurity and the sort of operational rigor we must have as tech companies. So it's not just tech. You know, we usually get lost in this fad of if my technology works, it's fine. But if your technology is not backed by the right processes and systems, it can all go down very quickly. So the operational rigor that is required to get these things implemented the right way, to be aware that with global opportunities comes global risks, and a small boy in Russia can decide to target you and drain your account overnight, means that you have to be more aware of what kind of safeguards you can put in place operationally. So that, I think, is a good cautionary note for us as we jump onto the next wave.
Welcome to Friday's edition of Kickoff. Kickoff is proudly brought to you by Shell, Lechelle, and Zonda. Let's get into the details of our stories now. And Nsotraman FC have appointed Yao Preko as their new head coach. The former Ghana international agreed a 2-year deal and succeeds Maxwell Kunudu, who left for South African side Black Leopards. Maxwell led the Nsotra-based outfit to FA Cup glory after beating Bofakwatano on penalties. To some boxing now, and Minister for Youth and Sports Mustafa Yusuf has praised the Zoom Clinics initiative, which was launched yesterday by renowned Ghanaian boxer Zuma Nelson at the AMA Hall. The program will be implemented in 4 regions with the goal of integrating mentorship, boxing training, and community involvement to inspire and empower young individuals. The success of the Zoom Clinics relies on robust partnership with the Ghana Education Service, the Ghana Boxing Federation, boxing academies, and community organizations.
The whole idea is for us to give opportunity to young people to also be nurtured and identify them, develop them to become great champions of the same achievement that he has achieved for our country. He lifted our flag very, very high. When we were young, some of us, when Zoom is going to fight, we will sit till 2 o'clock a.m. to watch because of the proudness what he has achieved for our country. So we can only celebrate him by taking advantage of this and making sure that he mentored a lot of young boxers for the future.
We know that such an initiative needs a lot of funding from your outfit. What's going to be that support financially for Zoom to make sure he achieves
this? The presence here tells you that the government is so committed and making sure that whatever support that we have to put on the table to make this initiative a success, government will make sure that we put in a financial support to support this project.
Mustafa Yusuf is the Minister for Youth and Sports to Europe now, and Erik ten Hag has extended his Manchester United contract until 2026. Ten Hag's future as Manchester United boss had been in doubt at the end of the season, but the club decided to keep the Dutchman, and he has been given an extra 2 years to continue at Old Trafford. The deal continues on existing terms, and there is increased support around Ten Hag from strengthened football leadership team. Away from there, and John Stones believes England have already seen a shift and unlocked 2 key qualities for the later stages of the Euro 2024 in their ability to score crucial late goals and seamlessly switch between formations.
I think they bring 2 different sides to the game, 2 different outlooks for us over the years, especially opposition-wise as well. You know, it causes them a problem. I think we're really fluid in both, and that comes down to us when we get out on the pitch, that we've got to put it into practice. But I suppose it's down to the manager what he decides to do, and what he sees their weaknesses and strengths that we can bring to the game with whatever formation we decide to play.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, back to Rob Harris, please.
Hi, Rob Harris from Sky News. Good luck for Saturday.
Thanks.
Do you feel you've all got a lifeline? Is it something you want to now really seize on? And is it about getting the result, or do you feel you need to entertain the nation?
Yeah, both. I've said it for the past few games now that we needed to keep progressing and keep and try and play our fluid football that we used to. But I don't want to discredit the other night either. I thought we were, going home after that, after 60 minutes of the game. And to change the mindset of us all and keep that belief and faith.
Away from Stones, let's do some tennis. And Andy Murray was given a hero's reception as he began his final Wimbledon alongside his brother Jimmy, but the centre court crowd could not inspire them to victory. Playing together in men's doubles at the All England Club for the first time, the pair had hoped to write a memorable last chapter in an incredible story, but the 2-time former singles champion and 7 times Grand Slam doubles champion Jimmy were beaten 7-6, 8-6, 6-4 by Australian duo Rinky Hijikata and John Pearce. That's your sports. For more sports stories, log on to citysportsonline.com. Join us later at 5 p.m. for the very latest in the world of sport. I am Bernard Abeku. Sport is life. Get involved.
Let's go.
If you need unique services, innovative financial solutions, we deliver on our promise, cause we are number one. Let's go, we improve your life. Let's go. Even when you're stuck with nothing, no matter your situation, let's go, we improve your life.
Your best option with the shareholders fixed deposit solution. You're not just investing, you're making your money work harder for you so you can watch your wealth grow. Do not settle for average returns. Join the investment revolution with our fixed deposit solution and take charge of your financial future. Call us now on 02700 40799 or send us a WhatsApp on 02700 40733 to learn more. The clock is ticking. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Invest wisely. Invest with Lesheho. And Lesheho, let's improve life. This is the part of the song I like, the budum budum part now. They sweet me brutal. Listen, there's a simple truth about love. It drives us to give up our very best in the same way Shell fuels drive your car to peak performance. That's where every car loves Shell. That's why they all love Shell. With over 100 years of innovation, you won't just be buying any fuel, but the most advanced fuels, which will save you money in the long run. How does that work? Shell Fuels Dynaflex technology are Shell's most advanced fuels designed to prevent deposit buildup and keep your engine clean and protected. They are also designed to help save fuel and get extra kilometers from each tank fuel so you can do more in your day. So drive into a Shell station today and fuel up your car with Shell Fuels designed for engine efficiency and performance, and give your car the love it needs for better journeys. Go well. Now, yesterday, my goodness, if you were in traffic, you must have burnt a lot of fuel. Yeah, I've seen some of your messages already. I felt the traffic too. From Circle to Adabaka, I spent 35 minutes and saw a lot of people walking from Accra to Circle. I don't know if you experienced the traffic either. We'll be touching on that. So if you had that experience, you can send your messages. We'll be discussing that on the show this morning, 0549 986 996. But also yesterday, the man Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh was announced. He was confirmed by the NPP's National Council as the running mate to Dr. Baumia. What does it bring to the table? How does that influence your choice? Does it influence your choice in any way? We'll be having all those conversations on the morning today. What's on your mind? I'll be happy to hear you share that with me. In the meantime, though, sharing quick announcements with you. And it is that every time we eat food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, that can lead to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases foul breath. But with Pepsodent's Cavity Fighter, those days are gone. We leave your teeth 10 times stronger. The Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro-fluoride with microcalcium ingredients. And so we have different packs, 175, that's big for the family, 120G, that's the Ajakwa pack, there's the 65 and the 12 sachet, all of it for you. Pepsodent has been educating Ghanaians on how to brush their teeth for 25 years, recommended by the Ghana Dental Association. It gives you the opportunity to talk to a dentist toll-free, so call us on 0800 161 000 to talk to a dentist toll-free. Also, you can call our customer care center toll-free on 0800 2030. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Now, the new order of retirement is here. You can retire on your own terms with a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. Simply invest a lump sum into the Old Mutual Retirement Salary Plan today and start receiving monthly income to enjoy the perfect retirement. Call 050-453-4333 or visit oldmutual.com.gh or dial star 789 star 01 hash to find out more. Obra Pa Ahotonkwa Old Mutual do great things every day. Now it's morning, you want to have breakfast. Let me recommend Twisco, a new chocolate drink in town from the producers of Cowbell. It's great for you because it's made from a premium blend of cocoa powder enriched with Enafort, which is a combination of energy boosting minerals and vitamins. Twisco is available in 20 grams and can be found at your nearest neighborhood store for 1 cedi 80 pesos. Start your day with a cup of the great tasting Twisco. Empower your dream, and this ad is FDA approved. Now, if you are a customer of GCB Bank PLC, then take note because the Kisiman branch is relocating to from where it is now to the Lab Heights adjacent the Hisense store on the Domi Pillar 2 Road. You can call 0596 915 938 to find out more. GCB is your bank for live. And Heritage Christian University Colleges at Amasaman behind the Olympic Stadium. They are affiliated to KNUST and UCC, accredited by GTech. They've got a wide array of programs at undergrad and master's level. So if you are interested in entrepreneurship, technology, and practical learning, and all of that, then speak to Heritage Christian College on 0547 777 731 or 020-229-8399 or visit their website hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian University College, educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Also, this long vacation, enroll your children or wards on the First Bank Ghana Junior Internship Program from July 15 to September 15, 2024 to enable them gain valuable work experience. All you need to do is to sign up for your child or your ward on the Kids First account designed for children up to the age of 12, or for the Me First account made for teenagers aged 13 to 17. Make an initial deposit of 300 cedis in the account and apply for the First Bank Ghana Junior Internship Program. Your child or ward will experience an exciting 5-day internship at any of our branches. Get to participate in an essay writing competition and win an attractive cash prize if his or her essay is adjudged as one of the top 3 essays. To find out more about the First Bank Ghana Junior Internship Program, please call 0596 921 921. Email firstsolutions@firstbankgroup.com. First Bank Ghana, you first. Hello, good morning. Some of you are sending your dedication. Let me jump onto them quickly. Says, I want to wish my elder brother a happy birthday. He's Mr. Agbo Anthony of Afienya Mata Heko. May God's blessings be on him in the years ahead, with good health coming from his younger brother Komla and his family. And this one says, to our wonderful father, ex-warrant officer class 1, Robert Lawo Tete, aka Braza. May God grant you long life with good health. Happy birthday, Dad, from your boys Desmond, Derek, and Dennis. I love that. Desmond, Derek, and Dennis, they are sending that to their dad. A couple others on the page as well. Kindly wish Mrs. Stella Boama a happy belated birthday. Yesterday, 4th July, was her birthday. She's the vice chair of the PTA of Basic Skills Montessori School, Kwabinya. From the PTA president and the team. Also wish all JHS 3 students of Basic Skills Montessori School who are beginning their BEC on Monday, 8th July, all the best. The entire school and PTA is behind them, and this is coming from the chairman. Now, this is from a colleague, Calvis Tete, celebrating his wife, Ellen Tete. The message is, as you celebrate the day, I ask for God's guidance and protection for you. May God continue to open doors. When the odds are against you, may you never lack but age gracefully. You are the melody that makes my life a beautiful song. You bring so much joy and pride to our family. Enjoy the best of the day with love. Happy birthday from Calvis Tete to his wife, Ellen Tete.
Well, since Calvis is wishing his wife a happy birthday, I'd like to wish my very dear Mrs. Q.
Oh, yeah?
A happy birthday.
Oh, yeah?
You know, the usual phrase is, my better. No, I like to refer to her as my best half.
Allah.
Yeah, so,
Allah.
Georgina, happy birthday to you.
Mrs.
I wish
Q.
you the very, very, very best. The one and only Mrs. Q. Yeah, that's what I call it.
Are you dropping a rap or something? What's up tonight?
Don't worry, we will discuss that
It's a different
later.
package.
So, Gigi, happy birthday to you. I wish you the very, very best. It's been an amazing year. I pray that the next year is more amazing. It's filled with bigger success.
Fantastic.
And you get to experience the wonderful things God has planned for you. So, happy birthday to my dear.
This is
my
the
dear
song
Georgina.
for Nick. His dear. Happy birthday, Gigi. Yes.
And today is our colleague Nakwama Selmafu's birthday.
Oh yes. I was looking for German words to wish her happy birthday because
I don't think there's a bigger Lionel Messi fan.
My
than
goodness.
Nakwama is loyal to Lionel Messi, never to the team. So now, happy birthday to you. I wish you the very, 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 very best.
She belongs to the second goats team. The second goat.
She would disagree with you strongly.
Goats, yeah.
She would disagree with you strongly.
But this one says, please, Nakoma, happy birthday to you. Good health, long life, prosperity, more money, and more Kobe on your stew, man. Please wish my wife. Oh, Nathan, how do I say this? How do I? Is it Klocho?
What's this?
Klocho Okai.
Yes. Klocho.
Klocho Okai Gauga. A happy birthday for me. You have been such a blessing to my life. God bless all you touch and do. I love you. This is from Dennis Gauga. Oh, Dennis, hi, Dennis. Klocho Okai Gauga. Happy birthday to you. So much traffic. What's happening? Was it the rain? I couldn't really tell because yesterday it really did not rain, so I don't know what caused that rain. That's traffic. But again, would reflect on that as well. And as I told you, and as you know already, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has been named as the running mate to flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. How does that work for you as a Ghanaian? What are you looking for in your next crop of leaders? And do the personalities matter? Is it about the systems that will drive the vision, or it's the people who drive it for you? So you think that maybe a ticket will work for you, another ticket may not work. Good to hear from you. But in the meantime, if you're speccing that old car, or you want a home makeover or a relaxing beach getaway, use your ABSA card 10 times or more in a month, and you could be a lucky winner in the ABSA Change Your Story promotion. And extra entries by using our digital channels 5 times or more. From now until end of October, 5 lucky winners will take away 40,000 Ghana cedis each every month to change their stories. For more information, visit an ABSA branch today. This promotion is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Your story matters, ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. Now, VW Ghana is excited to announce its 40K promo campaign for every T-Cross subcompact crossover SUV purchase, save 40,000 Ghana cedis, and for every Amarok pickup purchase, save 40,000 Ghana cedis. Take advantage now. Drive Ghana, drive Volkswagen. Hurry while stock lasts. T's and C's apply. For more information about our range of models, Vetos, T-Cross, Tijuan Allspace, Terramont, and the Amarok pickup, call or WhatsApp VW Ghana on 02579 56688.
Now, this summer, experience the perfect holiday getaway courtesy of your Zenith Visa card. Now, spend a minimum of 3,000 cedis on at least 5 transactions with your Zenith Visa card and win an all-expense-paid trip to the Olympic Games in Paris. I'd love to go experience that. If you want to do that, just follow the steps I've given you. Just spend 3,000 cedis minimum on at least 5 transactions with your Visa Zenith card and make it a memorable time. Visit zenithbank.com.gh. T's and C's apply. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
what has happened at all. The big story is that the National Council of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has endorsed the decision by the flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to pick Energy Minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh as his running mate for the upcoming elections. National Council endorsed the decision on Thursday, which is yesterday, after earlier meetings with the National Executive Council and the National Steering Committee of the party. So Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, popularly referred to as Napo, is also the Member of Parliament for Mensha South, right? His selection is seen as a strategic move. The MPP believes his selection and endorsement is a strategic move by Dr. Bawumia to consolidate support within the party and across the country, especially in the Ashanti region. We have been speaking to a senior campaign advisor to the NPP flag bearer, that is Sami Ewuku. So we'll bring you his voice when we are done. Political historian at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Samuel Edujemfi, he is urging Dr. Prempeh's team to carefully guide his speeches and tone to ensure his messages resonate well with voters. Let's hear first from Sami Ewuku.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Good evening to your cherished listeners as well. So today the NPP took steps finally to complete the ticket, the presidential ticket for the December 7th general election. And as the General Secretary stated, the party was awaiting, first of all, the name of the nomination of the flag bearer in consultation with the National Council. The National Council of the party is the second highest decision-making body, and clothed with the power to take decisions, deliberate, approve or disapprove the running mate of the presidential candidate. I can also state on authority that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for the last few months, has gone into deep consultations with the various stakeholders of the party. He's met almost every department of our party, consulted the National Council of Elders, consulted the national executives of the party, consulted the leadership of Parliament, consulted his boss, His Excellency the President, consulted His Excellency the former President, and consulted again the regional chairman of our party and various stakeholders of our party. Indeed, as he stated today at the National Council, the NPP, indeed, we have the men, we have the women. And almost all the people he considered were more than qualified, and I use his own words. But he needed to come to a decision point. To the decision point that he came, the criteria that he did set was the person's loyalty to the party, the person's loyalty to the government and the president, because he's the leader of our government and the leader of our administration. The person's also loyalty to the cause of the New Patriotic Party. The person should have a broad-based appeal within the party, because he also needs the party's buy-in and somebody who can also help him win the general election. And again, lastly, the person who can also help excite the base of the party's stronghold, which is the Ashanti region. With all these put on the table, and I quote him, he said he had other people as well who also met the criteria. But amongst them emerged Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the one that he believed that with this partnership, with this combined pair, they should be able to deliver victory for the MPP. Again, he also paid glowing tribute to the president for the support he's received from him and the National Party from the time that he himself, some years ago, over 14, 15 years ago, when he was first made running mate. It was an emotional period for him, and very emotional, as he thanked his boss and thanked the leadership of the party and the members of the National Council. Today, Dr. Bawumia is the leader of the party. He's no longer the second person on the ballot, on the ticket. He is the main man to deliver victory. He called for support. He called for a rallying point for all of us to support him and his chosen running mate. So he spoke about the qualities of his running mates, which the General Secretary I just said a while ago read about. And then he asked for support for him. So almost every department then was given an opportunity. The Council of Elders had to also speak on the floor, represented by their national leader, that is the very venerable Honorable Hackman Oswajiman, also given the position of the Council of Elders in approval The Asante Regional Chairman, who is the Dean of the Regional Chairman, also spoke on behalf of the Chairman, Caucus, to also give their endorsement. The President of the Republic also had to also speak on his own behalf and as leader of our government. Again, the chairperson of the MPP branch of USA, representing the diasporan community of our party, also spoke. The leader of the parliamentary group, the Honorable Alex Afenyo-Markin, also spoke. So afterwards, then there was no need to cast a ballot because it was unanimous. And the General Secretary then made a call as to all those who were in favor to also vote by hand, and it was a unanimous decision. And let me also say that Dr. Bawumia had also done extensive work on the ground by making sure that he also engaged the various stakeholders of the party. So it was more of a consensus meeting. Let me, on his behalf as well, and behalf of the campaign, congratulate Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. We welcome him into the space of the bigger Bawumia and the MPP family. We also work hand in hand with him to make sure that he has he's comfortable also joining all of us to campaign for victory. We believe that what we have started will be a good complement. And as the next few days, we roll out an elaborate, intensive, and insightful campaign, he will also be able to contribute his quota for the victory of the MPP in December. So next week, Tuesday, the MPP will be performing two duties. Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh is a native of the Ashanti region. So we will be presenting him to the Asante Man Council and to His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu in Kumasi next week, Tuesday afternoon. And then from there, we'll proceed to outdoor him at the Jubilee Park in Kumasi. Then afterwards, Dr. Bawumia will head the campaign trail up north to begin the constituency by constituency campaign, whilst his running mate also begins his tour within the country. So these are busy days ahead for the MPP, and the MPP is determined to win this December election.
So now, that was Sami Ewuku, Senior Campaign Advisor to the NPP's flag bearer, talking to my colleague Salam Adunu there. Now, political historian at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Samuel Edujemfi, he's urging Dr. Opoku-Prempeh's team to carefully guide his speeches and tone to ensure his messages resonate well with voters. Let's bring you that, and then we'll delve into the conversation.
If you juxtapose his effort with that of the NDC and with that of the running mate of the NDC, and the other gender perspective of the discussion, as we move forward, he may be able to at least come to the table with some degree of support that is more quantifiable and also would inure to the benefit of the collective good of the MPP.
I see. Well, what will be your reflection on the difference in temperaments between these two gentlemen?
It's a wild, if you like, argument in many respects, and I push back on those who think that these two gentlemen are friends. I do not, in my contemplation, think that they are friends. I think that the temperament of the flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is such that he's able to go through almost 8 years of being pushed to the periphery, i.e. because of his own temperament and his ability to meet the line to hope that one day he will become the flag bearer. So with such temperament, he may be able to, if you like, embrace the good, the bad, and the not so good personality of a running mate that seemed to be more, if you like, vociferous, and in many respects, it's all out there, and sometimes people assume that he's bossy, he's proud, and all that. But I do not think that the two gentlemen have a similar temperament. I do not think that they are friends, but I think that the flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has the temperament to be able to work with it. I'm not that right.
I see. But what role do you foresee, specific role do you foresee Matthew Opoku-Prempeh playing in this campaign? As I did ask my earlier guest, in the earlier campaign Dr. Bawumia was engaging with President Akufo-Addo, we saw him take on the economy. Indeed, the president said he brought him in
because of the economy. He was the guy to deal with the economy. Whether he's delivered on that or not is yet to be seen, or the jury is still out. What specific role do you think that Matthew Opoku Pempe will be assigned from where you sit?
I am of the view that he would be at the forefront of the campaign. In areas, for example, beyond Asante, in areas where he's, perceived to be unpopular, he may be thrown out there to present his new self, to get the attention of those masses in those areas who may not, can you hear me?
Yes, you're live and clear, yes.
Okay, so there are, it's said that beyond Asante, in the local region and other areas, some people are not too keen to want to see this individual as their vice president. So this is the time they would want to showcase him in this territory. And they would want Ghana to see the best of him on the campaign platform. And so I believe that he will be at the central stage of the campaign. He will be out there engaging the public, especially in areas beyond Asante, where it is perceived that he may not be able to garner support for the MPP. The second bit of it is that I think that if he's able to get his props right, the political handlers to be able to prep him on the central stage as he moves across the regions of this country, he has the charisma to be able to turn things around. And so let's hope and believe that the MPP will not keep him behind the stage, but they will put him at the center of the stage. Yes, he is not an economist, he's not a political scientist, but at least he's a medical doctor. He served in several capacities in the education sector, he served in the health sector, he served in the energy sector, and different sectors. He comes with some degree of experience and some degree of emollience. Let's believe that he can be able to articulate his thoughts with a sense of political correctness around this time, and to ensure that he contributes holistically in terms of the broader campaign of the MPP. Right.
What would be your advice to him?
I am of the view that in terms of public engagement, and when he's supposed to deliver a speech or on a campaign platform, I would suggest that he should not speak extempore, and further afield, he should not speak off the cuff. I am of the view that the political handlers, the political marketers and experts in speech and those who are going to write speeches for him must present him with a lower tone, because he has a strong personality and charisma in that blend where he's able to communicate with maybe a passive voice, and in a way to also be quite humane in many respects when they write his speech for him. So his speech should have a tone that is polite, respectful, cuts across, and has a certain soberliness within the sphere. The second bit of it is that grapevine conversation here and there, and also public conversation, suggests that he is not necessarily a friend of the media. I may push back on that, because that might be unfair to him, but I think that he should begin to position himself as an individual who is a friend of the media and has respect for the media. With that in mind, it doesn't matter who sits before him to pose questions at him. He would be able to reflect, and even when he has to push back on a question he doesn't like or he was not expecting, he would use a tone, have a posture, and come out in a certain sense of reflection, because it is Ghanaians who want to hear him.
Jemfi there. He is a political historian at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Quick one, Telecel Ghana wishes to apologize to its customers whose services have been disrupted due to the unlawful action taken by ATC Ghana on some of their sites. Telecel Ghana assures its customers that we are working with the regulator, the National Communications Authority, to get ATC Ghana to restore power to affected sites as soon as possible. Any inconvenience caused by the disruption is deeply regretted. So that's the conversation, the message for you from Telecel Ghana to all of their users. So yesterday was the big day. Finally, the National Council of the New Patriotic Party endorsed the decision of the flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to pick Energy Minister Matthew Opoku Pempe as his running mate. The party believes he's the man to help Dr. Bawumia and the NPP break the 8-year cycle. Political historian Professor Samuel Edudemfi from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology feels that his handlers, his communications team, must ensure that he doesn't speak off the cuff on campaign grounds, because he's likely to rub off people on the wrong side, given that he's a very strong. He has a very strong character, and his charisma, could rub some people off the wrong way.
You know, there are different ways of assessing this, and I think these are early days. You know, a week is a long time in politics. So, look, Rishi Sunak has lost the election, right? So, political sentiment changes, and there's a lot of things that go into how people perceive politicians. So, there's also events that can alter the way people see things. So whilst what he's saying is true about the personality of the candidate, I think it's early days yet, and we'll see what plans the MPP has in terms of how to package the man. Because remember yesterday, Selom asked both Samia Uku and Gideon Boaku the same question. How will he be deployed? And both of them said, we will not say it yet.
We'll leave that for...
Okay. That tells you that it's an important question. Usually when you ask a politician a question and he says to you, look, I don't think I want to answer that now, it means it's something actually thinking about, right? Because as Selom and rightly pointed out, when Dr. Bawumia was announced, a clear niche was created for him. A clear niche. They saw I can call it the apparent weakness of the candidate. So Nana Akufo-Addo was much older. They needed a younger person. Nana Akufo-Addo was a lawyer with advocacy skills. He wasn't necessarily known to be an economist. And somehow they calculated that the economy was going to be the main issue. So they positioned him and they prepared him. And you can see that between 2008 to 2012 to 2016, Bawumia's stock rose because of the way the party as an organization prepared him. Same thing, Jenana Opoku-Agyeman. She was announced by the NDC for 2020. Not, of course, she had been a minister before, so she was known. But you know, the presidential or vice presidential ticket is a whole new level.
True.
So in 2020, you can say the performance was a bit subdued, because although Mahama is already an articulate person, we didn't see Jenana in that articulate light. So some people felt that she didn't add as much in 2020. But if you look at how she was outdoored in 2024, you can tell work has been done. Even the way the outdooring was done. If you look at 2020, that event, it was the same venue, by the way. That event in 2020 was very Mahama focused. But in the 2024 event, you could tell that she'd been given, and the details had been worked out, even to the extent of what she wore and everything she said. So our political parties are good at certain things. They are good at packaging. They are good at messaging, which is why they dominate our landscape that much. So I think the party has made a calculation around whipping up their base, and they believe that this candidate, Napo, is the right person to whip up their base. If you look at some of the numbers we were discussing yesterday, Musa Dankwa, you can tell that MPP really needs Ashanti to step up its game if it will stand a chance of winning this election. So they are calculating that they need somebody which is why all the polls they put out, and every time somebody tells you something, or releases an information, also look out for what the thing does not say. So the National Security Poll said NAPO is preferred among MPP. Okay, the Dankwa Institute poll also said the same thing among MPP executives and foot soldiers and all whatnot. So it tells you that the calculation is that he is there
to whip up
so he's not necessarily there as a crossover or somebody who's supposed to attract outsiders from the party.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the way I see it. Again, if you listen carefully to the interview Selom did with both Sami Oku and Gideon Boaku. Gideon, for example, was talking about there are 5 things that the candidate was looking at in the Africa Watch interview. And he emphasized compatibility, but he also spoke about the ability to bring in votes in the base. You get the point. So when I look at the choice, it's not surprising because the candidate, so you want to complement the ticket.
Yeah.
The candidate himself is, how shall I say, he's not from a big base in terms of an ethnic base, all right? If I'm permitted to go that route.
Right.
The way we analyze elections in Ghana.
This is the flag bearer.
Yes. So Dr. Bawumia is from the Northeast region. And he's done well in reducing the NDC's overall dominance in the north.
True.
But you cannot say his base is that big because if for anything at all, he and the NDC candidates share the base, if you want to even stretch it.
Yeah.
So the ticket needs somebody who represents, in the view of the MPP, a certain stronger base, which is why from Parliament they kept telling us that was going to be Ashanti all through.
Yeah.
So that decision, in a sense, the decision has been made for the candidate in terms of which region to choose.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, we've heard analysts tell us that when you want to choose a candidate, you can either make a governance decision or electoral decision. So let me use this studio.
Or both.
Good. So if you get somebody who has a strong base, is good on the campaign trail, and is also great with leadership and management, then you have both. But sometimes you don't necessarily have the two. So in certain cases, a vice presidential candidate may give you more of a base to work with, a base. So a lot of people think Dick Cheney, who was George W. Bush's running mate, didn't have a lot of charisma or as much of a base. But he was an experienced hand that needed to shore up a president who wasn't considered to be the most experienced at the time. This is George Bush Jr. All right. Same with Obama. Obama comes in as a young senator, age 40-something.
Yeah.
He needed the longest-serving senator, Joe Biden, to shore up, to bring confidence to the ticket. Because a lot of times people look at, so if I look at this ticket, of course, the ballot box has only one person, but you can consider the ticket.
Yeah.
Will this be a competent pair of hands? So my point is that Mahama is solving a different problem than Bawumia is solving.
Yeah.
Mahama has been president before, and he is traditional. His party's stronghold tradition has been the north. So he picks somebody from academia, who's a woman, who's a fanti. Okay, so you've checked some boxes to try and show up the ticket. So I think is this in the same sense, Bawumia is solving for, I need a strong base. I need somebody who can whip up my base, because it seems as if from the analysis, the middle class and possibly the floating voters may have made up their mind. So let me get somebody who can whip up my base, even though he may rub off the floating voters wrongly. Now, Professor Hinson last week was speaking at an event, and I was listening to him, and he said strong brands attract and repel as equally. This is what Professor Hinson said. And in that analysis, he was talking about Donald Trump. He said strong brands attract and repel as equally. So brands that are not strong, they don't have a lot of people who dislike them. So he said Donald Trump, you either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
Because his views are clear. Do you get it? So even in this studio, there are people who like him. Those it's very clear. So it appears to me that Dampo, I'm not saying it's Donald Trump, that's not what I'm saying at all. Kennedy Japan as well. There are people who are strong personalities.
Strong.
So you know what he stands for. So when he comes to talk to you, he's not a shrinking violet. He will tell you, I don't like what you are doing, or I like you. He's that kind of person. So such a person is not necessarily, Bawumia is not the same kind of, Bawumia is not like that. Bawumia as a person, in my view, has more crossover appeal. All right, so he's going to churches, he's talking to people. Bawumia's strength as a politician is in his malleability, his whatever, likability. Okay, of course. Then this is working hard on his trustworthiness, which is why they're talking about his liar and all these things. But the point is that, generally speaking, Bawumia has a higher likability factor among floating voters. So I think the MPP's calculation is that our candidate can appeal to places which are not our base already.
So let's
but he may not. But because of the way even the primaries went, and if you look at the numbers that Kennedy got, our base may be demoralized. So we need somebody who will help him to whip up that base, because he can do the crossover work. Bawumia can talk to anybody. He's like Mahama. They can go anywhere. He's feel comfortable among Christians as among Muslims. Same with Mahama. But they needed a guy who can. And the risk, of course, is that, I mean, listen to some of the things he said recently. Okay. That was great. We're at an event, a journalist asks questions about Dumso, and he goes straight for the jugular and says, prepare your own timetable. I remember the week after we did a show, people were incandescent. Okay. So I think the professor has a point in saying that if this is your running mate, those who love him, some will die for him. And some will say we can't stand him. But that's the decision that has to be made. So they've made the decision. Let the chips fall where they may. And again, from Sami Oku and Gideon, I'm sure the party is thinking where to deploy him, what areas he will be used for, where he will not go, what kind of conversation. You know, some candidates thrive in one-on-one interviews. Some candidates thrive in panel discussions. Some candidates thrive on the stage. Some candidates thrive door to door. So the political scientists will work out how to deploy. So, for example, if you look at Professor Jane, NDC deploys her, she goes to traditional rulers, she goes to markets. So they've carved out constituencies, bases for her. Okay. So if you look at the John Mahama campaign, he can go anywhere. But if you look at his running mate, so for example, this Sunday, John Mahama is meeting media. I'm not even sure they will ask you they won't even ask you to pre-submit any question. He can sit with journalists and they can ask him any question, he can answer any question. Because of the kind of person he is. Now, if you are doing the same thing for Napo, for MPP, you have to create it differently. Because some journalists will come and ask some questions, and it can lead to a whole thing. So I'm sure they know. I'm sure they know. So the calculation is an election calculation. The calculation is whipping up the base. And of course, he's experienced, right? He's a doctor, he's been energy minister, he's been education minister. So as for public office holding,
it's not in doubt.
That's not an issue at all.
You have said that this year's election is about trust. It's about who the people trust, right? So the people are going to make a vote based on their trust. So given the tickets we have now, so people have the Mahama, Opoku, Ajiman, and then the Bawumia, the Opoku Pempe ticket as well. Will it make things more difficult for the voter now, given all that we have journeyed through to this point?
It depends on which voter. What I would say now is the tickets are set. So, of course, the independent candidates haven't brought their running mates. But at least now, the thing is getting set. Now we know what MPP has and we know what NDC has. So, in the past, we're not sure how the thing was. So, now we know. Mahama, Jenana, Bawumia, Napo, Alan, Cheddar, and the rest of them. All right. So those are the people in the race now. So now we know. So look, I'm not even sure if I say it's just a question of trust. It depends on who the voter is, because you see the voters are very layered. So for example, if you want to do proper polls, you need to ask: are you a first-time voter? Are you a repeat voter? What's your age demographic? Now, a Gen Z person who was born after the year 2000 is not the same as me, who was born in 1981. Okay. When I was born, when I used to go to my mother's hometown, there used to be curfews. All right. So we've seen soldiers in a certain way. The way I see the world is not the way my son will see the world necessarily. So if you say, I think it's, maybe I need to qualify what I said. The elections, all elections are about trust, but it's not just trust. It's our many things. It's our many things. So you can say it's about how people's lives have been bettered or damaged. Economics. people don't have jobs, hope. In some elections, it's about the posture of the government, arrogance. You know, we vote against them. For many voters, it's about whether the person on the ticket is from where I'm from. Because I feel good that somebody from my hometown is president. So it's about ethnic group. Do you understand? So it's a mix of things. So maybe we need to take our time and access. But at the end of the day, generally in most elections, you can say trust is number one, standard of living. So economy and trust. In fact, you can put it together. Who can you trust to make your economic life better? So if you merge the two, who can you trust to make your... And by the way, there's an erosion of trust in general politicians. All right? Because a lot of people will tell you that they have so much hope in the Akufo-Addo government, and based on the performance of that government, they don't even know who to trust anymore. Which is why you're seeing people gravitate towards some of the so-called third force and all these kinds of things. Okay. So it's the days ahead are going to be interesting. And we will start seeing which aspects of the ticket will rub off how. You know, but it's an interesting ticket. That's what I'll say. Because the last thing I'll say, the running mate of Dr. Bawumia has a very strong personality. And I feel every politician has their gift. Some people have strong charisma, you know, so it depends on how they use it. It may reinforce or help the candidate, but it may also be dissonance to what he portrays.
Right.
Do you understand? Because sometimes you want your vice to be like your shadow, but sometimes too you want him to be like your where you are, where you to compensate for what you are not.
Okay.
They have to make that decision because some people feel comfortable where, look, if I send my running mate to do something or my vice as a president, so which is why I think this is more an election decision than a governance, because in terms of style, I don't think the two men are very similar in their styles. Okay, but as I pointed out to you with the Jenana issue, and in terms of how her evolution, don't be surprised depending on how it all depends on how strong the party is and how the party's internal organizational systems are to bring people into their own frame. Because some people are so strong, they do things their own way. You get it? So like Donald Trump, the Republican Party cannot tell him how to campaign. He is the party now. So I think for those of us who study the ground, this is a very interesting choice, and we will wait to see how things pan out. It's a very, very interesting choice. That's my...
Also because, Sky, if you paid attention to the Ashanti region over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of agitations from both business people, some traditional leaders, everyday market people. A lot of people in the Ashanti region have been complaining, and they've been, openly sharing their frustrations. Some either demanding better roads, feeling that they've been left behind. So, for example, during the by-elections in the Ashanti region, then the people tell you that, they are suddenly coming to fix our roads because we have a by-election. So there's been a bit of disenchantment, and Guta in Ashanti region has not also been very happy with some of the decisions that this government has taken. So when Bernard says that this is an electoral decision, then it appears that then NAPO is being deployed to the Ashanti region to galvanize the people and solidify the support the NPP has, because it appears that the moment they lose grip of the Ashanti region, then they are on their way out of power. So is NAPO then able to quiet all those those
pockets of disaffection,
those pockets of disaffection that is we've seen in the Ashanti region? Is he able to mobilize the people beyond the complaints they have had over the years?
It's a very difficult question.
I know.
And I'm not sure sitting here I can provide a fitting answer. What I can tell you though is that ultimately, I think the feeling we get from people close to the situation is that they wanted it willy-nilly to come from Ashanti. And therefore, people like Educhu, the Minister for Education, was also considered strongly. And at a certain point, it was almost obvious that he was going to be given the ticket. And and then the Honorable Seche Mensah Bonsu, the venerable former leader of the majority, was also considered strongly, as I understand it. And then Jose was also considered, but his was remote for some other reasons. I mean, whatever it is, it would have been an Ashanti, vice.
So you think that decision was taken? So it's almost like he's limited to Ashanti.
Yeah, because
was this a parliamentary decision or a party decision?
It was to a large extent a combination of both. You had a strong push from the Ashanti caucus in Parliament that this has got to be us. So you hear it in various on various corridors. The argument made that, look, this is our time to get back to the big house. John Kufuor was there previously, and it went now to the eastern region, and then the vice presidential ticket went up north. It did not matter to many that, look, they had the majority leader for almost 7 years.
And it was
there was a deputy speaker of parliament, the first deputy speaker from the Ashanti region, the second deputy speaker from the Ashanti region. That did not matter.
Yeah.
And you have big portfolios like the energy ministry going to the Ashanti region, education ministry going to the Ashanti region. So there's also a certain infighting, which you hear, but which is not spoken about publicly. That it does seem that the Ashanti region, in the views of some MPs and some party loyalists, is being overcompensated.
Right.
But whether you like it or not, that is the engine room of the party. So in order to give the NPP a certain momentum, there's a
don't
feeling
forget,
that
even the executives, so that the general secretary, the national organizer, I think the chairman is from BA. I think.
I don't immediately remember, but
but the general secretary certainly. So there's the Ashanti face of the party is strong.
Exactly.
And also they have the most seats. So if you take 40, I think of the 42, NDC has like 3 or so. So in terms of regional contribution to MPP in Parliament, they will say proportional representation, so they need more.
Yeah. So you see, so that kind of feeling and the push for more unsettles a candidate who is from, as Bernard said, a minority group. And of course, at a certain point, there was a pushback from the eastern region. Now look, I mean, we have not come to just watch things. We also want to have our hand in the pie. And so you had the agricultural minister also considered at a certain point, or there was a push to have him strongly considered. If you come down south, there was also a feeling that, well, I mean,
why not?
The Greater Accra region, I mean, pound for pound, we can take it or we can lose it. So why not consider someone from the Ga areas and possibly give the person, the kind of visibility that will help you. And then also there was a religious question, which, of course, people shy away from speaking about it. But the fact is, Ghana has many religious groupings. Dr. Baumia happens to be from the Islamic stock. There's a strong presence of, Christians across the country. And traditionally, we have not had a president
candidate of the leading party.
The leading parties since our return to constitutional rule from the Islamic stock. So in some circles, people were seeking to play this up. And then the question was, how can the MPP compensate for that? You understand? So the suggestion was made, if you listen to people close to the situation, that look, that you need to get someone who is a Christian, who is either a pastor or who is
There was even talk of getting
there
was even a name of I think now that Napo has been mentioned, we can there was a name of a prominent
man of God,
Church of Pentecost apostle.
Apostle Professor Pokonya.
Yes, it was flagged in the news.
Exactly. So,
and in fact, if you look at the Inquisitor yesterday. Look at the headline of the Inquisitor yesterday. Did you see the Inquisitor yesterday? It's like the Church of Pentecost should concentrate on.
Yeah, said instead of, this was from a few days ago.
Yes.
They said instead of saving souls, the Church of Pentecost is dabbling in politics.
Yes. Because of the things Kai is saying, that there was a strong thinking around. But the truth is that when you look at some of the Musa polls, only 19% of people, I don't know whether 19 is only, said that the religion of the candidate is important to them. In fact, he says when you ask people what they'll look at to vote, in the top 3, they don't mention religion.
Right.
But when you press them and say, will religion be an issue? So you can say 1/5 will say yes. So it means that it's not a top of mind issue to them when you ask them. But you see, the problem with Ghanaians and polls is that Nathan and Sky, most people said that, and I'll give you back the point. I'm just making a small digression. They said economy is number 1. Jobs is number 2, and then they said education is number 3. But Sky, you and I know that at least historically, a lot of people, they vote because of ethnicity.
Yes.
So even though they will say, so it's almost like education, economy, and jobs are the external issues. So maybe the pollster should separate what you do. What are the external things that will annoy you about the government to vote? But what is the intangible thing that motivates your vote? Do you get it? Because Ghanaian voter behavior, if you analyze it from 92, is very ethnic. And I'm not promoting ethnicity. I'm stating a fact.
No, the fact.
But people rarely say it. When you ask them, they'll never tell you that that's why I'm going to vote for the person. So it's almost like maybe the posters have to start distilling issues that affect your vote versus drivers and motivations that influence your preference for a party. Do you get it? Which is why when people from a party stronghold feel their government has failed, they stay away. They don't vote for the opposition. They don't vote for the other party. So every time there's been a change in government, you've had the turnout in the stronghold of the governing party going down.
Like the NDC in 2016.
Yes. So it's like we are angry with you, and our punishment is not to vote. But they cannot bring themselves. So when people say the issues for voting, I just want people to look at it a bit more carefully. So maybe a lot of the 2015, I don't know, percentage of the I don't know what to call them, middle class or floating voters or whatever, they look at these things and decide where to go. But there are a lot of people who vote based on ethnicity. And it's not good for a country which is at a development stage for votes to be done. We have been blessed because of the way our ethnic makeup is, and the fault lines have not been exploited to a point of conflict. Nigeria wasn't that lucky. So in 1967, they went to civil war because all their coup d'etats, the nature of the people even led the coups tells you who's behind the coup. So up till today, everything you do in that country, you have to represent at least 3 ethnic bases: Southwest, Southeast, and North. So, and they have compounded their problem by adding religion to it. So, which is why the current candidate, who is the president, when he chose a Muslim to be his running mate, all hell broke loose in Southeast, which is why Peter Obi did so well, because the Christians in Southeast, how can you from Southwest, you are a Muslim, you don't bring a Muslim ticket? So we need to be responsible in the way we even discuss and portray the whole election, this particular election. Do you understand my point? Otherwise, when you drive that point as the main issue deciding vote, or you emphasize that in your campaign, then the issues are thrown out of the window. We all want to vote on issues: economic performance, living standards, corruption, ideas, and all these things. You get it? So it's an election that has not been tested. Every election is different, but this one is the first one that has so many moving parts.
You see, Bernard, well, I agree with you on the level of rigor and sophistication that you go into deciding who you vote for and the implications for the decision. But trust me, if you enter the trotros beyond the big ticket items of economics and all of that, is the question of where is he from, and whether he carries the cross or he carries the Quran. These are questions that people are asking themselves in the field. Now, the way to resolve it of course, is to emphasize the key issues that matter. Do you have food on your table? Is power on 24/7? Can you get government services delivered in good time? Are the roads in great condition? Can we de-escalate the extent to which corruption has taken over, public offices and even in private circles? Can people fairly get into government institutions without the ladies being asked favors, without the guys being asked to pay money and all of that? These are the big issues that ordinarily should drive the elections. But for many people, it is not so much these issues. It is about where is he from? What does he worship? These are happening. We need to be careful. But back to the point I was making about the discussions around who should be. At some point, Natoshi Ado, now Natoshi, Ari Natoshi, a former chief whip in Parliament, was also mentioned strongly. The female candidates were also thrown out there. The chief of staff was also considered, Frema Opari, and at a certain point, Esla Usu was also mentioned. Now, that is to tell you that there was a broad view, according to the people close to the situation, and discussion of what could possibly complement a Baumia ticket. A decision having been made, the question is whether all the calculations that went into the decision will fall in their right places for the MPP. If you read the statement that Dr. Matthew Pofu Prempeh issued, you will notice an attempt to emphasize God, which to a large extent would raise a lot of it to whip up that feeling that, look, I am there to represent a certain setting. So yes, it is, God. Read the statement, you notice that there is proper reference to the work.
There's a lot of references to God in the statement.
So that is to.
I actually didn't notice until you said it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that in the second paragraph.
You are very. I didn't notice it,
Charlie.
but I think you are right. So what's your point? Nathan, did you notice?
I will say not in the statement, but a few months ago I started to see certain things.
Okay.
In terms of where he was going, how he was being portrayed, and all of that. So I got that inkling from a few months ago.
Okay. So that's one. He's speaking to something. Now the other issue that he faces, apart from the fact that, look, this is a fantastic man who's done his bit for his country, he served his country. People say that he has not achieved certain things, or that his human relations are some way. But people who are close to him also tell us that, look, he is a man that people love to go to and he provides solutions. Now, the question is whether you look at him from afar or you are close to him to make your own determination as to what kind of person he is. But if you go back still to the statement, there is an attempt to speak to humility.
Can I read it?
Yeah, go on.
That Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, vice presidential candidate. I am deeply honored today as the chosen running mate of the New Patriotic Party. I am humbled to be nominated by a distinguished flag bearer,
underline that,
His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and endorsed unanimously by the National Council in accordance with the provisions of the NPP Constitution.
Consensus.
I am privileged and duty-bound to extend my full support to Dr. Bawumia as we work together to realize his visionary agenda of propelling Ghana to greater heights.
Dedication to service.
Paragraph 2. I view this nomination as part of God's plan for my life.
Religion.
And I'm grateful for his guidance in directing my path. I pray for his ongoing guidance as I move forward. So more religion. I consider this nomination as a call to higher service. Again, in that, a call to sacrifice and a duty to perform. The MPP is enriched with numerous astute personalities. Therefore, I recognize the significance of my selection and do not take it lightly. I call upon all our members to join hands as we collectively strive to achieve our ambitious goal of transforming Ghana into a prosperous nation. Paragraph 3. I express my gratitude to the National Council, the rank and file of our party, and our esteemed President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his unwavering support and faith in me. I thank Mr. President again for the opportunity granted me to serve in 2 respected cabinet positions. I'm forever grateful. I'm equally grateful to my colleague ministers of state, members of parliament, for the confidence reposed in me. It has prepared me for a day like this, and I feel ready to make everyone who believes in me proud and win over the doubters. I understand that the task ahead requires our collective effort, and I therefore plead with every party member to come on board as we seek the mandate of our countrymen and women once again to serve them. Finally, so as I assume the role of running mate alongside my esteemed boss, H.E. Dr. Baumia, well, are you analyzing the statement by H.A. or what? I am committed to supporting him to prosecute a formidable 2024 campaign to break the 8-year election cycle and serve our beloved country diligently. Let us work together towards a brighter future for Ghana. My philosophies remain service and leadership. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
So you see, if you do content analysis of the statement, although it is short and does not go straight into issues of achievements and all of that, there is either a subdued or obvious attempt to deal with some of these things that I've spoken about. The question of whether he is arrogant. He uses the word humble. You understand? He deals with that in a...
But one statement will not think that. I know what you're doing.
These things matter.
You are saying that so you are saying that they sort of see that this is the work they have to do.
That's right. That's
so
right.
the statement has to
exactly.
show it.
And the reference to doubters. Why do people doubt him? It is because some people, as you heard a member of parliament from the Ashanti region say that he cannot hold his hand to go anywhere and campaign. Of course, there must be a reason why the Honorable Piakubi made that statement.
There was also an attempt to patch the relationship between him and the Ashanti regional minister. This was
Ashanti regional chairman
of the NPP.
Exactly.
He was widely publicized.
Now, if you had your ears close to the walls of the MPP, you would have also heard that at a certain point it was not clear whether he had good relations with the President of the Republic. Of course, the president subsequently, as we were told by the newspapers, said that he had no problems with Dr. Baumia.
And the education minister, when he was asked here what his relationship is with him, he declined to answer. And
but on this point, I'm trying to speak to a portion of the statement that talks about he being grateful to the president for having stuck with him. You understand? Because
right. For 2 terms.
Exactly.
Which sort of maybe goes into the whole narration.
So I don't want to go into it plenty. The point I'm making is that from such a short statement, you can see what appears to be an attempt to deal with many planks that would raise issues ordinarily about the candidate we are talking about. But look, the fact is, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, even during his student days, people will tell you that he is opinionated. He has a strong personality. And when he got into Parliament in 2009, after winning the 2008 elections, he was one of the fresh minds in Parliament who learnt the ropes. He worked really hard. It did not come to him because someone wanted to hand over something to him on a silver platter. Yes, he came in from the Ashanti region. There were many members of parliament who came in fresh from the Ashanti region, but he quickly rose through the ranks. So you put that down to his hard work and a dedication to achieve something in politics. As to how he does it, people have issues with it. But the question is whether he's been able to repeat victory after victory since 2008. He has done that. At a certain point, it was not clear whether he was going to seek re-election because talk about making him running mate and all of that. Then he delayed in picking up the party's nomination forms in the constituency. But ultimately, he went back.
Yeah, because Dr. Bamia delayed the decision in a way.
Yes.
Because per their constitution, a year to elections, they should have known. So if by November he had been named, he probably wouldn't have gone for the seat. So
So if you put everything together, is he a hardworking man? To a large extent, I believe people would say yes, because he was put in charge of free SHS. Ghana delivered it. The question of how it was implemented
is a different thing.
It's a different matter, because as we can all see, there are many problems with the policy. The shape and form in which it was implemented and the substance of it.
many years down the line, we'll know whether or not we have been right as a country in implementing the policy the way we have. But the fact is, it's been delivered. Now, the second...
Don't forget, though, the 3SHS is more a question of the how than the what.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so the what, now everybody agrees.
Exactly.
The how,
that's the problem. And then also the energy problems. Now, if people are minded to vote on the basis of free SHS and the problems that it comes with, the positive it comes with, they will have to ask themselves whether they think they are better off paying their own their war school fees, or having the government say that they are paying for it and then leaving a deficit that they are not taking care of. So that we are now subsidizing for government what government had said that it was going to do. That's a question that parents must ask themselves. Then we have a power situation.
Can I ask you a question? I think the free SHS question, I think the NPP's calculation is that it's a net positive, which is why they say the NDC opposes it in the ways in which even the bill is being discussed. Whilst there are issues with parents struggling to have to top up, I think largely free SHS is possibly top of mind awareness for Ghanaians. If you are going to say what's the knack for those achievements in 8 years, it's free SHS. So I think on a net basis, if you look at all voters, they believe free SHS will give them a positive than a negative. So do you understand my point? There are negatives in terms of implementation, but if I have not seen their numbers, but I'm very sure they know that free SHS is one of the angles they will use. And I'm sure when Napo goes on a campaign, he will say that Mahama opposed it.
I delivered it.
Do you get it? So you were saying that there are two issues. He did education and he did energy.
Yeah.
And on education, he will say, and his people will say, it's a net positive. And I suspect that's true. Because if free SHS had not been done, of course, we've seen challenges with the Baskai. The number of people we know were not going to school, who are now in school, is a lot. All of us have people like that. So I actually think having two portfolios maybe give him an edge over Educhum in a way.
Right.
Because he is the one who did the free SHS in the first term.
He's seen as a phase of it.
Yes, and then he moved to energy. So he has maybe two things going for him. Whereas maybe the education minister is just free SHS. Because some were even arguing that because free SHS is MPP's main argument, they should use the education minister because he will be able to articulate it. But the guy who implemented it or initiated it or whatever is also having energy. So maybe you can deal with the energy issue. But I'm just saying that the free SHS point will not be seen as negative.
Yeah, no,
it will be a positive.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming. I was not raising it as to make a definite conclusion as to what Ghanaians are likely to do about it. I was raising it as to leave it to the Ghanaian people to decide for themselves whether they are better off having a free SHS which has deficit that they themselves must supply, or they would have loved paying for the fees anyway, without government.
That's middle class people. But on energy, where were you going with that?
So on energy, and also quickly before I go to energy, there's this conflict within even the so-called Napo and then Educhum camp as to who exactly implemented free SHS. You would have people from the Napo side who would say, hey, there was the boys, he was the one who did it. But then when you go to the other side, they will be telling you that,
the deputy,
he was the bulwark, he was the man doing the work. That is also there. But it goes into all kinds of areas, and I will not dwell further on that matter. But coming back to the energy bit, now where are we? It's a difficult situation. Many people listening to us now are in Doomso. They are having to substitute the national grid. What do you call it? Is that what's the right expression?
So they are having to complement
the national grid, correct, with energy generated from other sources. People who can afford are turning to solar. People are buying diesel every day. And people are sometimes having to live through the night without power. Businesses are struggling as a result of the unstable power situation we have in the country. The man in charge of it is Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And what the NDC has been trying to do, which they are so allowed to do, is to play up comments that he had made in the heat of the 2016 situation against him, minister today, and what he had said recently to a journalist. So I remember I covered the Occupy Flagstaff House demonstration with the likes of Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Esla featured prominently in. One of the key issues that drove that particular demonstration was Doomsaw, together with the economic conditions, the situation with the dollar and all of that at the time. And he was very critical. He was very, very critical of the government of the day. Took on the president, John Dramani Mahama, for messing up, in his view, the power sector. Of course, there was every justification as of that time for the critical comments that were made by the MPP Member of Parliament for Mensah South at the time. Now, if you fast forward to 2000 and 2024, the question you ask yourself is whether a man who was so critical of John Dramani Mahama as president for leaving the country in the dark should have responded the way he did when a question arose about the power challenges we're facing very recently, and whether that response would play a huge part in how people deal with the ticket that he now compliments. So again, the people of Ghana will be asking themselves whether they will have in Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh a vice president who is sympathetic to their plight, or a person who will be dismissive of whatever concerns they raise. I believe these are matters that, upon deep reflection, Ghanaians will come to a decision one way or the other, whether it is in their interest to vote for Napo as vice president and therefore John, what do you call it?
But do they vote for vice presidential candidates?
Oh, strictly speaking, technically, yes.
Are you sure?
The vice president is elected.
What I'm saying is that when people go, I don't know, maybe listeners can tell us, when you are voting, do you look at the person leading or you look at the ticket?
No, you look at the ticket as a whole. So you vote.
Maybe it became very prominent in the 2008 election or maybe 2000 election. I don't know. So 96, who was Kufuor's running mate?
96 was Aka.
And when my Rollins running mate was who?
Rollins had Mills.
In 96. Okay. What about 92?
92, it was something Al Hassan. He was the running mate.
What I'm trying to say is that I think the running mate thing became more prominent maybe in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the way our media too has evolved.
It was Roland Al Hassan.
Because our media landscape has also become broader, there's chance to give people voice. I was quite old in 92, 96.
Bernard.
And I'm just saying something. It was Rawlings Kufuor, Rawlings Edubuahin, Mills Kufuor. But from 2000 going, I think, of course, after the Accra incident and Mills came through, the vice presidency became more important. It's become much more important now. So I'm just asking listeners whether when they make a decision to vote, I'm not taking a position. Are they looking at the ticket or the person leading the ticket?
You see, although...
Because like UK right now, Rishi Sunak is gone. Of course, they don't have running mates. But in the US, for example, they have like our system.
Although they have deputy prime minister. The
Do they go on the ticket together? So like...
No, it's not. So it is not like they...
The UK system is different.
Yes, different. It's not like they go and say, I'll be prime minister or blah, blah.
Yeah, but in the US... They highlight the vice president more.
Exactly.
Our system is presidential.
Okay, so let me try and address that. So you see, hitherto people may not have been so concerned about who is running mate. But if the unfortunate, tragic, very hard to deal with death of President Mills is anything to go by, it has taught us a lesson. That the vice presidential ticket is as important as the presidential ticket. Because if you have a vice presidential ticket who you put there just to make up the number and satisfy the constitutional requirement, and the person knows next to nothing about how to lead,
in the event
he takes over, we'll have a problem. You understand? John Dramani Mahama took over and did a passable job leading us through a very difficult situation, got the president buried, transition was smooth and all of that, won an election, although the opposition disputed it. So that has taught us a lesson that when you vote for a ticket, you must have an eye on the vice president, because in the knock on wood, in the very unlikely event or in the unfortunate event that something happens to the president,
the president resigns,
or resigns, you would have a vice president.
But it also depends on how the parties deploy the president. So as we always say, the MPP deployed their running mate under Akufo-Addo very well in campaign.
Yeah.
So if the MPP under Bawumia decides to do same, then it will make it more prominent. I think in 2020, NDC didn't deploy their running mate that well.
Efficiently.
So I think sometimes when a party feels their candidate is okay and can do, the running mate is less. I think in 2024, they emphasize him more because they see that there were so many gaps in 2020. So Sky is right. This election, I think the running mates too will play a role. The running mates too will play a role. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Did this announcement though delay because also then we have experienced some power crisis as you go to the energy point? You know, because now I feel the energy thing has gone down.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I went home and slept in that place, quite frankly.
No, but that doesn't mean that.
He's asking an interesting question.
So probably now
you feel like maybe
because they feel they've taken care of the energy issue, which is annoying a lot of people.
Honestly, I don't think, even if the decision had been taken in May or even April, it would have been foolhardy to announce him in April, because in April, if you did a sentiment analysis of Napo, even on social media, it was really, really bad. So maybe Caleb has a point that maybe they waited for the problem to go down significantly.
If there were some other issues, as many people understand it, mind you, again in the Ashanti region, someone had passed on deputy.
The John Kuma issue too.
Yeah, and then all kinds.
It would have been very, very bad to announce him. But do you even know the decision had been made then? Because I don't look. You see, when they ask Gideon the question yesterday, I was hoping to hear what, but he chose not to answer, which I think is probably quite smart, because if he had said, imagine if Gideon Bako had come on there and said, "Oh, we knew all the way from January that he was our running mate," that would have changed the whole, like, wow. So why are you announcing him now? You get me? Or it was such a difficult decision that, of course, he wouldn't say such a thing. But imagine if he got leaked that, oh, it was only at the end of May that the candidate agreed. You know, it will be strange.
You see,
it will be very strange. It will actually whip into all the politics and the analysis. So usually those questions are not answered.
There was, as I understand it, and speaking to people close to the situation, there was a certain proclivity to going with Matthew Opoku Prempeh and staying with the Ashanti region in principle. And that reportedly was communicated to certain people. But there have been, or there were intervening circumstances as to cause a reassessment of what could possibly be and what could possibly not be. And so the candidate then was in two minds as to whether I stick with the original plan or I look at the realistic situations we face now and change.
So you're saying that he was his original choice, and then certain people started asking him to do everything.
Yeah, that's right. Because of intervening development.
But then he stayed with his original choice.
Yes,
that's the way you see it.
Yeah, that's the way you see it. Because of some pushback that
and all the things, and then of course what Caleb was pointing about, the energy crisis.
That's right.
And all of those things.
That's right.
Wow.
Because also, then I was going to ask about whether or not the running mate will be his original choice.
But that's what he's answered.
Yes, because then from the initial conversations we've had, it appears good. You needed to have someone who was from the Ashanti region, so there was that. Okay, so get someone from the Ashanti region, and then you have options in the Ashanti region as well. So is it that amongst these, then?
But let me even answer. In fact, you see, even with NDC, 2020, Jane Dana is chosen. You can learn from that. So even the parties are different, you can still say it's necessary. So between 2020 and 2024, all kinds of names have come up. We've done analysis of all the names.
Yeah.
But the Jane name has always been there.
Constant.
So it's almost like this is the decision. People come with different reasons why you should change it. This person may not work. So they come and say the person. So they do all the things they do. If at the end of the day, you consider all they say and say, what do we really gain by changing and bringing a new person? And what shows that if this new person we bring will also have their baggage? Yeah. So I think in the Jane case as well, he probably was like, you know what? I started with her in 2020. Yeah. I'm going to stick with her. And people came, no, change it. You didn't get votes on Central Region. They said all the things, and eventually said, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So in a sense, it's probably the same thing that this guy was the main person, original choice. Different things came up. People said all kinds of things. They had everything. They asked for more time. But at the end of the day, he's sort of back to the same.
Let me ask you a tricky question.
If we are wrong, I'm sure those
and
who are
also
listening.
let me just mention quickly. Look, because look, if you don't pay attention, some of these things you will not see it.
Yeah.
So they'll talk, family man. Then you saw photograph drop. There was a wedding ceremony, private wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Yes, and people received it nicely.
And then a lot of images from church.
Exactly, these things matter to people.
Yeah.
That, whether
so you're saying all the potential questions that were addressed
then
in a build-up.
And then in the heat of humble blah blah blah.
Concerned journalist.
Oh yeah, okay. So what do you do? Okay, then you see photographs. Oh, he's gone to see this chief.
Yeah.
Tumfo, Chehene, Awomafia.
And kneeling down, shaking hands, and all those.
You understand? So. Goes back to the
that's
addressing the concept. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much.
No, interesting. I know you haven't asked Nathan a question.
Yes,
so maybe let Nathan make a. So, but I'm saying that today is 5th July.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time ahead to go through all this, and there's a lot of things to talk about. So let's not get. In fact, I'm sure they'll outdoor him sometime next week or something. Then we can have more time.
Nathan, congratulations to him. Congratulations. Yes. He's worked really hard for this.
Nathan, so for you, if you were looking at this from the point of someone who is not interested in who is coming from, which party who is representing, or who
lead us not into temptation.
Okay, fine.
Just let the man take his comments on the matter. Don't he knows what he wants to say.
I'll just hop on something Bernard said just quickly. I'm sure later we'll get into that this is a very calculated decision. Calculated decision, and again, calculated because of the MPP needs to get votes and everything. But I think it's calculated in something that is not said. And Bernard, you say that when we hear things, we need to think about what is unsaid. What is unsaid is that this decision tells me one thing, that the MPP has analyzed everything and realized that it is walking into an election with a huge deficit it needs to fill. And all of this is a very mathematical calculation that the prayer is that Ashanti comes out to vote. If the numbers are good, it could work in their favor. So that's the thing I will say, that what they haven't said in all the razzmatazz is that there is an election that is a huge mountain that they could easily get absolutely blown away and get wiped out like we've seen in the UK. So this move is a card to play and say, let's see, because Ghana's election is a numbers game. Let's just see. We roll the dice, the right numbers come up, you win, you go home, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I will say. All of this is an electoral decision. A decision that says that the prayer is, for the MPP, is that they get this man to whip up Ashanti. Ashanti comes out to vote. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, they tried. That is what I will say.
Okay.
As we'll get into what he comes with, his baggage on another day. But my only comment for now is that
there are 4
it's a
new
very
breeds of
calculated.
mosquitoes who have invaded Eastern region. So you have to remember. No, you didn't see it. 4 new breeds of mosquitoes have invaded 4 districts in the Eastern region. 4 new breeds, and they don't respond to some of the things that you use.
That's wild.
No, it's a serious thing.
Let me announce it in
It's a serious matter. Achimansa, Achiasi, Birim South and Birim Central. They were found in cocoa farms. They were large, they were black, and have some whitish markings. They look like angels of death. Yeah, they said they were large, they were black.
What do they transmit? Anything?
It's more than malaria. In separate interviews with the Ghanaian Times, they said malaria cases were increasing at the various health facilities, and a lasting solution should be found. So a new kind of malaria. Now, the Eastern situation has become a significant health threat in the region, with numerous health centers reporting cases related to these mosquito bites. Approximately 300 people across the 4 districts have been hospitalized, though some, including himself, has since been treated and discharged. Mr. Jabin said the National Community Health Planning Services CHIPS compound in Ashanti alone recorded about 30 cases so far, and emphasized and stated the need for immediate intervention. They said the situation in his district started a month ago, But residents self-medicated until the assembly realized the situation was much more complex. Now, I'm looking for the names of the mosquitoes, but they haven't. This is funny. The invasion of the mosquitoes in the district comes 2 weeks after the Ghana Health Service announced that the country was making progress in reduction of malaria cases and deaths. You see, so
this troubling.
So 4 districts, and they say the malaria, they are large, they are black, and have whitish markings.
I think the Ghana Health Service would have to,
and they are found in cocoa farms.
Yeah, deploy what do you call it? Officers there to spray the respective areas
and then do some
kill as many as
education
possible.
well.
And then the other issue is that
quickly before you
in the UK,
before that,
the man has lost.
Quickly though, and then also look. Let's remember that in other countries they are re-engineering mosquitoes to be able to take away their capacity to transmit the killer malaria, what do you call it?
Infection. Yes.
So these are things I think we should learn from, using science to help
to deal with malaria.
Yeah, to deal with malaria. Yes. So talking about the UK election.
So the other point, listeners, I'm sure you know that in the UK, when your party chooses you as leader and you become prime minister, you can be prime minister without an election, but only for a certain period. Yeah. So there's a time within which, at least a month to the year you were voted, you were appointed, you have to call an election. Now he didn't need to have called. He needn't have called an election in July. He could have waited for a few more months. He chose to call a snap election,
and lost.
And he lost by a whole lot. Bro. I mean, you need about 300 and something seats to win. Labour Party has won over 410 seats, and they've come back to power after 14 years. Their last leader was Tony Blair. And since Tony Blair left, David Cameron came. They've had so many leaders from the Conservative side. So, of course, for UK used to be big news maybe 50 years ago, but it's still very significant that you have the Labour Party coming back strongly after they removed Corbyn and brought this youngish-looking person. Yeah. So, again, Corbyn, I don't want to go into UK politics, but you see sometimes the way the person also carries himself is part. Okay, and Rishi Sunak has seen his smoothness level. So,
you see, one of Corbyn's main problems was
his suit was too big.
Beyond that, I mean, he was branded as being against Israeli interests to a large extent. Also because of his own commentary on the situation in the Middle East and all of that, and some other major issues. But look, the fact is that the Conservatives started having a problem when this whole Brexit thing, came out so strongly. Mm-hmm. The likes of Boris Johnson, supported by his, hardliners, campaigned so hard to force a decision from the UK people that they wanted to leave the European Union. Mm-hmm. Now, so many issues were cited. They claimed that the Eastern Europeans and many other non-UK nationals were invading the space and taking away jobs. All of these things were affecting the quality of life of the average UK national, and jobs were being exported. The UK was losing its hold on, on the international stage and all of that, and they needed a certain sense of independence. They wanted to reassert that independence, so they voted. Now that meant that David Cameron, who was until then a truly inspirational figure, charismatic, leading them in a certain direction, had to resign because he felt that he had let the people down. Yeah. Then they took the job to Theresa May. Now she was now faced with the difficult job of negotiating the UK's exit from the European Union.
A decision she wasn't probably.
Yes, so much,
So I think since Brexit, UK has been the policies has been very troubled.
And mind you, it was a tumultuous negotiation, right? Issues about hard border, soft border, took it to Parliament a number of times. She was thrown out, and Boris Johnson, capitalized on that because he was a hardliner. Let's get out. And working behind the scenes, ultimately they toppled May. May had to leave. And then Johnson came in
At the time, Donald Trump was also, doing his thing in the US. Of course, I mean, to many people, he was able to do a fairly good job until COVID came. Now, here's the thing about what I learned from the UK people. Unfairness is a huge matter to them, right? If you lay down a rule and say that this is what you want all of us to do, you should not be seen to be breaking that rule.
Exactly.
So the Prime Minister, of course, when COVID started, had a very indifferent attitude towards the whole thing until he himself got COVID. He nearly died. He was sent to hospital, and when he came back, he said, "No, I've changed my mind on my approach with this," and then started to be hard on the rules and let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. But somewhere down the line, we're told that when people were in their homes, some had traveled, they couldn't attend the funerals of their loved ones because there were rules in place stopping people from moving across the country. He was throwing parties, dancing.
That was his downfall.
That was his downfall. That was his downfall. His downfall was that he had thrown a party at the time people could not throw a party or attend the funerals of loved ones.
But this won't be a problem in Ghana.
Of course, we were told that something like that happened and no consequences.
Even funerals were.
And on top of that, he went before Parliament and was found to have said certain things that were not exactly the case. So it became necessary pressure on him to leave office.
All his ministers had to resign.
Yeah, that's right. And that is what they do. They leave you. They want to show that they are the honest ones. You are dishonest. They don't want to associate with you. And so his government failed. And then they brought in, what's her name? The 1 month long. She lived for Liz Truss. Yeah. From the word go, people were suspicious of her. But what killed her prime minister tenure was the infamous budget that our compatriot Kwesi Kwarteng took to Parliament.
Yeah.
Now that budget in Parliament and the result affected the UK economy in a terrible way. People were complaining about mortgage. So many things happened, and he had to sacrifice himself. Leave off.
They said his budget showed he didn't understand the economy.
Yeah.
And then Rishi Sunak was saying all the right things about the economy. So they thought he can be the prime minister.
So when the woman left, they brought him in. But of course,
it was the first person of Indian descent.
Yeah, to a large extent, when you talk to the people, they normally will see him as an outsider.
Outsider, yes.
Because this is the first time you have someone of that, like Barack Obama, casting the mold of Barack Obama. Not exactly in terms of personality and all of that, but in terms of origin. Because he has some roots in Kenya too and all of that.
Yeah.
So became the prime minister.
He's stopping his prime minister. Nobody has asked him any question. They say he wants to do election. Election people don't want you. They say he wants election.
And this is where we are. Now, if there are lessons to learn,
Pascal, are you the size of the defeat is what I wanted to ask you. What is behind that? Is it the immigration issues? Because for an incumbent to lose that massively, and for a prime minister to call an election himself, is it that he didn't know how people were angry? Is it? It's. I mean, you know, it's not like he lost. They basically tilted and flipped the whole thing.
You see, the law prescribes elections at fixed intervals, but they can always call an election depending on issues about wanting to strengthen your mandate and all of that in the UK. When, of course, people, anytime he delivers a major policy statement, people say you are unelected.
So legitimacy.
Yeah, that's right. So there's always the question of legitimacy and all of that always rings around. But in terms of the factors leading to his defeat, one of the issues that he was speaking so eloquently about was the economy. In many ways, some experts will tell you that, he brought in some stability. But the UK economy hasn't fully recovered. So that issue is there. And then the situation with Russia, the war is impacting energy prices and many things across the European Union and then also the UK, for instance. And then you have the issue of immigration. And he's messed up the whole policy. Mind you, one of the ways he wanted to fix it was to grab the people and send them to Rwanda.
the decision.
Your Rwanda.
Yeah, the decision was challenged at the Supreme Court, and it was toppled. Now they quickly went to Parliament and to enact it into a legislation, right? And when Parliament, that's why they say Parliament is sovereign in the UK, because when Parliament lays down the law in the UK, the courts have no authority to overturn it, unless, as is applicable, particularly in the EU situation, they make a declaration of incompatibility. In other words, the legislation is not compatible with the general EU framework.
I see.
But now the UK has left the European Union, but there's a transition period. Those issues are still in play. But the fact is, the immigration situation was, to many people, badly handled.
Charlie.
And ultimately, he had to send the people now. Now, recent reports suggest that even when they send the people to Rwanda, there are questions about how they are treated and all of that. All of these things are coming up. So, if you look at it, that is also another major headache that he could not properly deal with.
Bernard, we'll take a quick break. When we're back, there's much more. 97.3 Citi FM, Citi Breakfast Show. Stay with us.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
in the news say that we need to have the board of statistical service devoid of politics, and we need to allow the statistical service to generate statistics that will stand the test of time and not be afraid of what political leadership will say, because statistics are a tool for development. And I was clapping. It didn't get that much coverage, but he's saying very important things, because statistical service and NDPC should be made independent. Because you see, let me explain. If I am a minister of finance or minister of agri, and every month inflation figures come and they don't look good, and it's making me feel like I'm not doing my work, I'll say, hey, statistical service, what are you doing? So politicians will always try to interfere.
Yeah.
But if we want to build a strong country, we need to allow the statistical service to generate the numbers. We look at the numbers, and the numbers tell us what to do. We don't try and say, hey, this government statistician is not helping us. We have to. Once you start doing that, your development will suffer. So, and his point is that if you put just pliable people, it doesn't matter which party is in power, on the board, and the way they even announce the data, because we are told that our population can get to over 52 million by 20-something. We need to have independent institutions. And I really want to commend Professor Inim for making that point forcefully yesterday, that our country's population rise is unsustainable. Your economic development will suffer if your population rises too quickly and you don't have a way of absorbing the people. Number two, if your statisticians are afraid of what politicians will say, they will not generate the right numbers. Or even if they generate the numbers, they cannot forcefully explain what it means for our development. So that story is a great story. Ghanaian Times has a version on page 9. Construct high-rise buildings in Accra to maximize land. Deputy Government Statistician. Fantastic. We need to allow our institutions to work. One of the reasons why we like today, we want to talk about traffic. I was at a program 3 days ago. When you talk to all the technocrats, whether it's from transport ministry or roads ministry, they know what we have to do. Political leadership is the problem. Generally, when you have a room of experts who are talking about transport planning, they have the blueprints. The politicians have different interests. So if we don't find a way of protecting critical institutions from abuse by political leadership, we are going to keep moving in circles. And this is our development challenge. So we are going to have elections. Another party wins. Over 6,000 new appointments. Are we really making progress like that? Because if I am a government statistician, I need to have security of tenure to know that I'm generating statistics. I'm the Electoral Commission chairperson, NCC. Some of the positions, political people can, but there are some NDPC, government statistician, Electoral Commission, SRAJ, Special Prosecutor, IGP. Some of these positions need to be strengthened to be, regime, because it also brings confidence to the system. It should be regime agnostic. We should give Parliament a stronger role. So my suggestion is things like IGP, things like EC chair, things like government statistician, things like CJ,
Auditor General.
We should de-emphasize the role of the president and emphasize Parliament, because Parliament is our collective representation, and Parliament, in my view, has the mechanism to be more objective. Generally. Parliament has the mechanism. We are not just saying that this Parliament has been, but we're saying generally, Parliament as an institution is very critical to a democracy. Have you ever wondered why when there's a coup d'etat, the institution that suffers first is Parliament? Because Parliament is where all of us, our voices get heard. And Parliament is such an important arbiter when it comes to, so for example, even if you are a CJ or whatever, Parliament has to vet you. And I think that I'm not saying we should overhaul the constitution, but if you're going to do constitutional reform, some of these independent constitutional bodies, their independence should be tied to their being released from the overbearing influence of the executive. Because one of the reasons why our constitution is so top heavy in favor of the executive is that two reasons, and I think my friend Papako explained this to me a few days ago, that you were trying to convince a dictator to become a democrat. And he's certainly worried that he will lose his power. So the technocrats around him had to present a constitution to him that lets him know that you can still appoint 6,000 people. It's just that they will vote for you, but you are still the big boss. because he's come as a military government, which basically his word is law.
Yeah.
So the constitution has given too much power
to satisfy.
Now the US president is powerful, but if you look at Senate and the House and the way they mitigate his power, they can even do shutdowns because they realize that we cannot give inordinate power to just one man.
Yeah.
So even though people criticize Trump, US Congress is very powerful. Here we've weakened our parliament. Do you get me? So I think we should tweak the system to strengthen parliament more. And number two, the executive has become, they conflict government with state. Party, state, government. They are three separate things. Okay, so Nana Akufo-Addo is the head of state. He is the president of Ghana. And until Bawumia was elected, he's the leader of MPP. Those three roles are very different. Okay, now we need to find a way of hiving off some powers of the executive. Because even with our financial crisis, a lot of the problem was because the executive on the fiscal side was overbearing on the monetary side, who are in the central bank governor needs independence. Central bank needs independence. Government assistant needs independence. I can list about 10 positions that we need to think of if we want the democracy to work. Because the thing about power is that when you get it, it's sweet. So when you get it, all the things you're thinking about when you were in opposition that you wanted to change, it's not such a bad idea. That's why he will say many things. He said many things in opposition. He did different things. He said he believes in an announced principle. Even look at the special prosecutor. If it wasn't for all the noise that was made, CJ has now even thrown out the petition. You get it? Because once somebody wants to be a bit independent, no, they want to attack him. So I just want to say to us, one of the things we need to do to make our democracy stronger is to build strong institutions and guarantee the independence, IGP, government statistician, EC, independent, courts,
Auditor General,
so that we can have thorough checks and balances. That's what makes the democracy function. Thorough checks and balances. So that's my 2 cents. Get a Ghanaian Times, reach page 9. Government statistician, congratulations on the very, very powerful thing you said at the program a couple of days ago.
Before we head out, Latex Foam is saying that walk into their showrooms and experience the difference in quality in terms of furniture and mattresses. You need to sleep and sleep well. You need to wake up refreshed. That's why Latex Foam is investing, or is asking you to invest in your well-being. Call them on 0302-231155 or visit them online, latexfoamghana.com. Latex Foam is your partner for life.
Top of the hour. Thank you for joining us for today's edition.
Yeah, just to quickly announce that we're hearing that Rishi Sunak has stepped down as party leader. And I have given this job my all. He's quoted as saying he's currently at the Buckingham Palace, entering from the front, and then we'll exit from the back.
Chocolate enough.
And that'll be it.
Well, we'll also exit from the
studio. In other words, he's going there to say, I cannot form a government.
Well, that's how we also exit the studio for Ajua Tenkrama Domina to bring you the news at 10. Good morning to Ajua, and how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Not bad at all. What's in the news, Ajua?
Coming up, minority hints at another protest against